American comics, starting with Superman. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 151, Lolly is Fierce. Kara's words elicited laughter from the gangsters inside the bank. Were we too weak to hold our knives, or were you just too proud? These people hadn't witnessed Kara's punch shattering the alloy door, so they couldn't fathom the strength of a 13-year-old. Stop laughing. Bank robbery is wrong. I want you to turn yourself in immediately, or I'll be brutally brutal. Kara issued an ultimatum to the gang members. The Joker, upon hearing Kara's words, shook his head in disapproval. Blah, 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 you're just like that pesky bat, full of hypocritical rhetoric, you think. I'm like Batman. Kara selectively listened, because Batman was also a member of the Justice League. If he was like Batman, did that mean he could be a member too? The Joker's chaotic, erratic thoughts were already frantic, but he found himself completely unable to follow Kara's train of thought. What the hell was going on? You and Batman both wear capes. The Joker's patience had run out. He waved his hand at the burly man behind him, shouting, "Capture this girl and use her as a hostage. Later, no matter who shows up, I'll show them how powerful I am." The burly man behind him grinned obscenely at Kara. He sheathed his rifle and lunged at her with both hands. "Come over here, little girl. I'll treat you to a lollipop." "Hey!" Kara glared at the man with disdain and angrily shouted, "Don't call me little girl. I'm Supergirl." Before she could finish her words, Kara raised her hand and shoved the man's chest hard. With a crack, the man's chest suddenly collapsed, sending him flying into the air. He spat out a mouthful of blood, collapsing into the ceiling before falling back to the ground like a dead dog. I think I hit too hard." Kara worried she'd accidentally killed the man, but her X-ray vision revealed that his heart was still beating, suggesting he'd simply fainted. The other gang members stared at Kara in disbelief. Kara, standing 5 feet tall, suddenly transformed from a petite sheep into a ferocious, lolly-like beast. What kind of monster is this? Is she also in league with Superman? Alien? The S symbol on Kara's chest spoke volumes. The gang members inside the bank turned pale, while the staff and civilians held hostage were overjoyed. While it wasn't Superman this time, this little girl looked remarkably reliable. "Probably. Since you're wearing the same cape as Superman, are you also invulnerable?" The Joker's expression was ferocious. He'd intended to target Batman, but he hadn't expected this little girl to get in the way. He raised his pistol and pulled the trigger at Kara's head. Bang! 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 A series of gunshots rang out, causing the hostages to let out a series of screams. Bullets pierced the air, whistling and landing on Kara's head, like hitting steel plates, making a ping-pong-pong sound. Although Kara could defend herself from the bullets, it didn't mean she didn't feel pain. Although a bullet to the head wasn't nearly as painful as Leah's finger flick, being shot in the head was never a pleasant experience for anyone. Kara coughed lightly, raised her foot slightly and took a step forward. She gathered her strength in her right fist and then lashed it out quickly, hitting the clown in the face. Bang! The clown's head twisted backwards with a blow, and all his teeth were shattered and fell to the ground. Fortunately, Kara controlled the force a little, so the punch didn't explode the clown's head. Instead, it sent him rolling like a football, hitting the wall. Harley Quinn, seeing Kara knock the Joker away, flew into a rage, raising her baseball bat and striking Kara in the head. "Kill her! Kill her!" The Joker's teeth were all gone, so his voice was limp. The gang members present, seized upon by the threat, drew their weapons and opened fire on Kara. Da-da-da. Facing the rain of bullets, Kara yanked up her cape, made of Kryptonian material, impervious to missiles. While fending off the rifle fire, Kara carefully listened for the location of the gunshots, mentally memorizing them before dashing forward. Bang! A blast erupted from the spot, and Kara's figure swiftly shifted, reaching the first gang member in the blink of an eye and delivering a punch. Kara's punch smashed the rifle from the man's hand to pieces, sending him spewing blood. Quickly dispatching one, Kara moved, appearing in front of the next with near instantaneous speed. The man seemed prepared, swirling his rifle as Kara appeared before him, intending to strike Kara in the head with the butt of the rifle. Kara, confident in her ability to strike, charged head first. With a crack, the rifle's handle shattered. Kara took a slight step back, then raised her leg and delivered a devastating kick to the man. Bang! Ah, wow, wow. The other gang members present felt a chill run down their spines as they watched this scene. Being kicked by this ferocious, humanoid beast in a young girl's guise was likely ruining them for life. In the blink of an eye, Kara knocked down 2 people in quick succession, and the gang members' morale plummeted. Not even Batman was so brutal. The hostages around them were thrilled. They watched Kara charge again. The third gang member let out a heart-wrenching roar, and then dropped to their knees with a thud. Rest of the gang members dropped their weapons. Kara's killer kick truly terrified the gang members. Chapter 152, Not Following the Routine. Seeing his useless minions surrender, the Joker knew his plan for the day had failed, so he scrambled to the bank's elevator. Seeing the Joker flee, Harley Quinn followed him, pressing the button for the highest floor. They had already planned their escape. A helicopter was parked on the top floor of the bank, and the Joker intended to retreat in it. Hold on, don't run, ready to tear them down. Supergirl, get the hostages out. The Joker could detonate the bombs around them at any moment. Your actions must prioritize saving lives, Leah said, appearing behind Kara. Hearing Leah's words, Kara remembered that this was also Superman's principle: saving lives was the top priority, no matter the situation. Handle the punishment. Glancing back at Kara, who had run over to free the hostages, Leah bent his knees slightly and launched himself into the air, crashing through the bank's ceiling. Harley Quinn, sitting in the passenger seat, tilted her head back, frowning as she studied Leah. She tugged at the Joker's sleeve. "Mr. it looks like we can't escape." "He can fly," the Joker smiled dismissively. No, I know these superheroes are the most disciplined." Oh, maybe I should say, they're just cowards. Let me show you how to escape from these so-called superheroes." Before he could finish his words, the Joker suddenly pushed Harley Quinn off the helicopter. The top floor of the bank wasn't particularly spacious, and the Joker's helicopter was perched on the edge, so his push sent Harley Quinn careening off the top. Harley Quinn, clearly caught off guard by the Joker's actions, let out a furious scream. However, the Joker didn't care about her life or death. As if certain that Leah would descend to save her, he calmly started the helicopter and prepared to flee. "Go save her. I know you won't let anyone die. I'm done with you. Bye." The Joker laughed and pulled the helicopter's control lever. He often used this tactic to escape Batman. No matter who threatened an innocent life, Batman would always give up the pursuit and save the victim. But Batman was Batman, and Leah was Leah. Just as the Joker, humming a tune, flew his helicopter 39 meters, Leah shook his head and cursed, "Psycho." Before he could finish his words, Leah's eyes suddenly turned a crimson red, and 2 parallel beams of heat vision streaked across the sky, directly destroying the helicopter's propellers. Without the propellers, the Joker's helicopter instantly stopped ascending, swayed a few times in midair, and began to plummet. At that moment, Leah suddenly flew out and crashed directly into the helicopter. With a loud bang, the Joker's helicopter exploded, disintegrating into a sky full of flames. Leah flew out from the flames, leaving a long trail of smoke behind him. In his hands, he still held the Joker, whose body was covered in wounds and charred. "Me if I have any humanity," Leah interrupted the Joker's rant. "Ha ha ha. Funny. But, do you think you've won? Mr. Avenger, unless you kill me, you'll never defeat me. But if you kill me, what's the difference between you and me? We're both lunatics." The Joker had used this same rhetoric to brainwash Batman. In a city as rife with darkness and evil as Gotham City, Batman had to set a limit to prevent himself from falling into madness like the Joker. But Leah had no such concerns. In the face of absolute strength, any conspiracy or scheme seemed childish and ridiculous. Leah gave the Joker a cold smile. "Joker, don't be so happy too soon. You'll beg me to kill you." Leah couldn't even bring herself to judge a purely human criminal like the Joker. Judging him wouldn't even increase his divine power by a single ounce. Therefore, the simplest solution was to hand him over to the tribunal of the 3 wise men and sentence him to exile in the Phantom Zone. The Joker might be able to escape any prison on Earth, but in the Phantom Zone, even Daddy Mob, a person with 12-level artificial intelligence, couldn't. Without Kara's ship guiding him, Daddy Mob would still be trapped in the Phantom Zone, let alone a human. The Gotham City police had arrived. Bomb disposal experts were inside to defuse the bomb, and the gang members were arrested on the spot. Mr. Avenger, what should we do with the Joker? Batman's old friend, Sergeant Gordon, also appeared on the scene. He was one of the first police officers to learn about the Justice League, and he was even more aware of this powerful young man, who possessed direct access to the president. So, regarding the Joker's situation, Sergeant Gordon intended to consult Leah. For ordinary people, the Joker was a real headache. His illogical sociopathic personality, driven solely by chaos and destruction, coupled with Batman's no-killing policy, allowed him to thrive in Gotham City. But to superpowered beings like Leah, the Joker was simply a clown. He lacked Brainiac's abilities, yet he pursued blackjack schemes. Leah had a prepared response: the Joker is an extremely dangerous criminal. Ordinary laws no longer apply to him. Oh. Are you planning to have the Joker brought to that court? Sergeant Gordon's eyes lit up. He had heard from Batman about the Tribunal of the Three Wise Men, a court dedicated to trying those who pose a threat to society or possess superpowers. Leah nodded calmly, not intending to reveal too much. Many things are not good if they are explained too clearly. At this time, Kara came over with Harley Quinn. She was the one who saved Harley Quinn when she was about to fall to her death. Upon seeing the Joker, Harley Quinn was furious like her line is, "Joker, you dare to push me off the top floor, you bastard, do you want to kill me?" Chapter 153, Diana's Weakness. The Joker wore a nonchalant expression at Harley Quinn's questioning. He grimaced, his mouth brimming with blood. "Blah, blah. You're not dead, so why are you so angry?" "Oh, yeah, I have a plan, do you want to hear it?" The Joker maniacally coaxed Harley Quinn. As in most versions of the story, the Joker never truly cared about anyone. His sociopathic personality dictated his world of bloodshed, harm, and deception. But the ignorant Harley Quinn's eyes softened after hearing the Joker's words. In reality, the Joker had been preparing for today's action for a long time, racking his brains to devise countless responses, but the only thing he hadn't planned was a response to the little Kryptonian girl. Leah's gaze fell on the Joker, her heart calm, even wanting to laugh. So-called conspiracies and schemes are a joke unless the forces are equal. He stepped forward, using only a 10,000th of his strength, and with a single kick, broke the Joker's leg, sending him to the ground. He said, "You're really not going to cry until you see the coffin. Kara, you did a great job today. Leave the rest to the police. Let's go back to headquarters." With that, Lee lifted the Joker up and flew towards the Justice League's Earth headquarters. Kara followed Lee's example, grabbing Harley Quinn by her shirt and chasing after them. Commissioner Gordon watched Lee and the others leave, a relieved smile spreading across his face. He said to his assistant, "Gotham City finally has one less major problem." "Honestly, I've wanted to shoot the Joker countless times." The assistant stared at Commissioner Gordon with a strange look, causing him to blush. Joker's trial. 3 AIS, Jor-El, Aurora Zor-El, and Gideon, all familiar with all human laws, unanimously judged the Joker as lacking even the most basic human emotions, a hopelessly dangerous criminal. With no hope of redemption, their final verdict, as Lee had predicted, was exiled to the Phantom Zone. As for Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, they also stood trial. Although they possessed basic emotions, the 3 AI judges delivered different verdicts. Jor-El, as always, sentenced them to exile to the Phantom Zone. Aurora Zor-El and Gideon both received life sentences. The 2-to-1 decision meant Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy would spend the rest of their lives in the Justice League's prison. Poison Ivy was the most delighted to hear this news. She had long dreamed of living here forever, and now, not only had that wish come true, but even Harley Quinn, the person she cared about most, was now here to be with her. This life was truly a dream. Avengers, can I share a cell with Harley? Poison Ivy's attitude toward Lee suddenly shifted drastically. She even resorted to using a love poison on Lee just to be able to live with Harley Quinn. Only Viola, Kara, and Cyborg were in the cell, inspecting the Justice League's only 2 prisoners. Otherwise, Poison Ivy's temptations towards Lee would have definitely escalated to a higher level. Ahem, no, Poison Ivy, please correct your attitude. You're serving a sentence, not on vacation. Lee said she could resist the temptation. If that doesn't work, I'll have Batman come down to interrogate you more. The word interrogation was so profound in Lee's words that everyone looked puzzled, but Poison Ivy's face flushed slightly. Far away in the Batcave, Bruce Wayne suddenly sneezed. Alfred, assuming his master had caught a cold, quickly covered him with a coat. Fiora looked at Harley Quinn, curled up in her cell. She narrowed her eyes and scanned her body. She asked, "General Lee, is this person also a humanoid?" "Yes." Poison Ivy injected her with a special venom that enhanced Harley Quinn's physique. "That's why Amanda Waller selected her as a candidate for Task Force X," Lee explained. "Task Force X? What do we need to do?" With her warrior's instincts, Fiora sensed that Amanda was courting death. Lee shook her head. "We'll just have to wait and see. Let her court death. Sooner or later, she'll deplete the AOLD's wealth." That night, Lee coaxed Kara, overly excited about her first mission of the day, to bed. She opened the door to her room and found someone standing there, Diana. Diana had been away on a mission and had only just returned tonight. Upon her return, she quietly appeared outside Kara's door moment she saw Li Yan. She smiled brightly, then raised her hand and pulled out her lasso of truth. "Kara's still a child. You didn't do anything strange to her, did you?" "How could that be? Kara's my brother's cousin. It's only natural for my brother to take care of his cousin." Leah patted her chest, her expression clear as if she was speaking from a clear conscience. "Just like I'm a car mechanic, carrying a wrench is only natural. HMPH, you can convince me. First, tie me up with a lasso of truth." Diana waved her hand, and the golden lasso of truth shot out. Leah raised her hand to block it, and the lasso of truth wrapped around Leah's arm like a python. "Leah Rogers, are you a Lolita complex?" Leah's face was filled with rage. "What the hell is Lolita complex? I'm supposed to be waiting for Kara to grow up." Oh no. She wanted to say this out, but if she did, would Diana beat her to death? After waiting for a moment without hearing Leah's response, Diana increased the pressure on her grip and demanded, "Tell me, Leah Rogers, are you a Lolita fan?" "Of course not. I like mature women. Long, wavy-haired mature women." Leah spoke her truest thoughts, and such explicit language actually made Diana blush. Yes, Diana was a mature woman, but a certain little lolly would also be a mature woman when she grew up. Anyway, it wasn't her lie. Diana's grip loosened slightly, and Leah tugged hard, snatching the lasso of truth back. Then, with a sinister smile, he twirled the lasso in his hand and walked towards Diana. "Leah, what do you want?" "Put down the lasso of truth and talk it over." Diana's smile froze. In a real fight, Diana wouldn't necessarily be intimidated by Leah, but the lasso of truth is Diana's weakness, like kryptonite to Superman. Once bound by it, Diana loses her powers and becomes a mere ordinary person. "What do you want?" "Diana, don't you have any idea what I'm going to do?" Leah said as he swung the lasso of truth. Diana's face turned bitter, and she turned and ran. "Want to run? If I don't fuck you out of this bed today, I'll take your last name." The next second, a zone descended. The world froze in an instant. Leah strode over to Diana and dragged her back to his room. Then, the lasso of truth whizzed out. It was time to put the knowledge learned from the Life and Beauty folder on Drive D into practice, tying Diana up in a very embarrassing position. "No. Don't do that, not there, woo-woo-woo. Turn off the lights, please." Diana struggled desperately, but helplessly, bound by the lasso of speed truth. She was as weak as any mortal. Though Diana could still be quite open in some ways, this sudden leap was a bit too much. This level of cunt bondage play was too much for her to handle. Turn off the lights, being a Lolita fan? Without waiting for Diana's plea, Leah plunged in and kissed her, blocking her lips and causing her to sob. The battle lasted from 9 in the evening until 1 in the morning. Finally, Diana found her chance and broke free from the lasso of truth. Unleashing her divine power, she took control, pinning Leah down like a wolf. Snap! 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 Chapter 154, Enchantment Witch. The AIO Building. Ms. Amanda, what was your original intention behind establishing the Task Force X plan? A special evaluation team from the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, and other departments went to the AIO to review Amanda's task force. My point is, if Superman suddenly descended from the sky, broke into the White House, and abducted the president from the dome desk, who could stop him? The words echoed through the conference room, As the evaluation team members stared at the video projection, showing Superman's devastating battle. Faced with that level of power, ordinary humans were powerless. Seeing that the atmosphere was developing in the direction she expected, Amanda straightened her back and continued, "We have the ability to prevent the North Korean nuclear issue, we can solve diseases and famine, but we can't solve the invasion of aliens. Ever since Superman put on a red cape and flew around the world, the biggest crisis for mankind has come from the sky." "Okay, Amanda, we understand what you mean, so why don't you tell us directly about Task Force X?" The gray-haired senator flipped through the documents at hand. "Your team members seem to be criminals." "Yes, Senator, they're all criminals, but a group of criminals with special abilities." Amanda pressed the remote control, and the video projection switched to several close-up photos. "Although they are criminals, I have implanted a miniature bomb in their necks. Although this bomb is only the size of a red bean, the explosion is as powerful as a grenade, so you understand what I mean. They will be very obedient." There was a burst of discussion from below, but Amanda ignored it and began to introduce her Task Force X members. "Each of you has a file. I'll show you some profiles of these criminals on the big screen." A man wearing a white hood and a red, glowing lens over his left eye appeared on screen. He raised his custom-made pistol and, in 30 seconds, shot and killed a group of gang members from a distance of 500 meters, using a variety of intriguing angles. No matter how the gang members hid, for Deadshot, a master of geometry, a single moment in his field of vision was certain death. Deadshot, real name Floyd Lawton, is the world's #1 gunman. His shots never missed. Next, Captain Boomerang, real name George Harkness, can use his boomerang to wipe out entire armies in an instant. A video of Captain Boomerang in action played, even featuring the familiar Flash. Captain Boomerang even hit the Flash with a dart. If it weren't for the help of the other members of the Justice League, he might not be on this list today. The next person to appear was a figure covered in green scales, with a large mouth full of sharp teeth, resembling a crocodile. Killer Croc, Waylon Jones. He was born with an extremely rare atavistic disease, and his strength is so immense that even Batman can't stand up to him. Then there's Firelord Shadow Santana, and Katana. Amanda finished introducing the Suicide Squad members one by one, and the discussion among the commentary panel intensified. The senator frowned and questioned, "Ms. Amanda, no offense, these criminals do have their own unique strengths, but don't you think they were overestimating it when used against an opponent like Superman?" Indeed, these individual strengths were generally around the mid-blue level, with only Firelord Shadow Santana reaching the purple hero level, and that was in his Firelord form. Amanda smiled. "It's as you say, Senator. I have a secret weapon I haven't introduced to you yet, Dr. June Moon. Please come up." When her name was called, the woman in a professional office suit who had been sitting at the back stood up. This thin, slightly frail woman, looking only about 27 or 28, was Dr. June Moon. Once again, during an archaeological expedition, she had broken the seal and fallen under the spell of the witch. Sitting next to Dr. June Moon was Colonel Rick Flag, the commander of X-Force and her boyfriend. Rather than calling him a boyfriend, it was more likely that Amanda had specifically instructed the muscular and handsome Rick Flag to seduce Dr. Moon so that he could monitor the witch's condition at all times. Rick Flag held Dr. Moon's hand and encouraged her, "June, it's okay. Just show us your strength and everything will be fine." Encouraged by her boyfriend, Dr. June Moon slowly stood up and walked to the conference table. Glancing nervously at the group, she whispered, which, like a magical incantation summoned by Shazam, June Moon simply had to silently say which to transform into the witch. Suddenly, the lights in the conference room flickered, and a dark aura swirled around Dr. Moon. The next second, she transformed into the witch. "Oh my god, oh my god. Is this a demon? Does magic really exist?" Everyone gasped. After all, witches only existed in legends, and now seeing it with their own eyes was naturally unsettling. Amanda loved watching these inexperienced people fuss over it. "Everyone, come meet the witch. Everything we know is written in the documents you hold continue to exist even after we die. This girl is capable of incredible things." With this, Amanda winked at the witch, who suddenly opened her arms. A pitch-black aura suddenly surged outward, making present feel as if they were in hell. Even breathing became extremely difficult. The witch's gaze fell on the senator across from her. She tilted her head and transformed into a puff of black smoke. She mysteriously appeared behind the senator, then reached out and stroked his white hair. The senator was horrified by Enchantress's actions. Okay, Ms. Amanda, as long as you can guarantee that you can control this monster, then Task Force X's plan is approved. Amanda suppressed a laugh. Enchantress, please transform back into Dr. Moon. Enchantress's eyes rolled, as if she were planning something. Chapter 155, Batman Dreams of the Flash. Just as Amanda Waller was facilitating the formation of Task Force X, Batman Bruce Wayne sat in Lee's office with a scowl on his face. When his patience was almost exhausted, Lee returned with dark circles under his eyes. He had spent the entire night fighting Diana Haggard's appearance. Diana, who accompanied him, was radiant, looking forward to the evening's continuation. Lee, I've been waiting for you for a long time, Batman understood instantly. After all, a man's hardship and fatigue are only understood by the man himself. Lee yawned and asked, Bat, do you need me for something? Batman nodded. Diana, standing beside him, pointed to the office door and asked, do you need me to step out? No, Diana, perhaps you could give me some advice, Batman said. Leah and Diana sat side by side on the sofa across from Batman, as the intelligent machine brought them 2 cups of tea. Well, I've been having a recurring dream lately. I heard you've been studying the occult, so I wanted to get your opinion. Dream? Interesting, Bat, why don't you tell me what you dreamed about? About someone, who? The Flash. Before Batman could finish, Leah gasped, his mouth forming an O shape, a look of I never thought you were that kind of person. Batman pursed his lips in anger, mentally reminding himself that he couldn't defeat the opponent and must remain calm and not commit suicide. Leah. Can you please listen to me? Okay, go ahead. Leah leaned back on the plush sofa, listening attentively. Ahem, in my dream, the Flash appeared in a ball of lightning. He told me Lois was the key. He told me that my opinion of him was correct, and that I should be in awe of him and afraid of him. At this point, Leah's face changed, as he understood the meaning of what he was saying. In a past life, a certain Joker tricked Superman into infecting him with a fear gas, causing him to mistake the pregnant Lois Lane for Doomsday. Having mistakenly killed his wife and child, Superman turned completely evil, even establishing the Superman and creating a world without conflict. That world, seemingly beautiful, was built on bloodshed and intimidation. Diana shrugged nonchalantly. Bruce, did you have a fight with Superman? That's why you had this dream. Let me tell you, you just bicker, but you really care about each other. Diana had always been supportive of the Batman and Superman couple. Lee ignored Diana's joke, abruptly standing up and walking over to his desk. Cyborg, pull up the Regime Phantom Zone for me. Is the Joker in there? Superman's dark turn was sparked by the Joker. If this Joker were to plot a trick on Superman, Leah wouldn't footage hesitate to kill him now. Cyborg didn't understand Leah's reason for such an order, but he obeyed anyway. Avengers, the Phantom Zone surveillance shows that the Joker is still in the Phantom Zone, but he seems to be seriously injured. Cyborg pulled up the surveillance footage from a few days ago. That madman went to the criminals of Hosea to play some conspiracy to sow discord, but the criminals of Hosea broke his hands and feet and hung at the door. It seems that he will not live long. Lee, what's the matter? Why are you suddenly checking on the Joker? Batman asked in a deep voice. Although he killed the Joker, Batman was not merciful enough to save the Joker. The prison on Earth could not prevent the Joker from continuing to commit crimes. So he could only be thrown into the Phantom Zone and let him fend for himself. Lee shook his head. Nothing, just a routine check. Cyborg, specially dispatched a drone to keep an eye on the Joker, even if he dies. Understood, Cyborg responded, muttering in his heart, what a huge hatred this is. So this dream, Batman brought the subject back. It keeps recurring, and it's making me feel a little uneasy. Could it really be Diana? Have you been? No. The first time I had a dream like this, I didn't know the Flash yet. I clearly remember him saying, I think I'm in the wrong place, Bruce. I'll get back to you. Does Barry's ability include entering other people's dreams? Batman asked, frowning. Lee's expression grew even more puzzling. Barry can't enter other people's dreams, but he can travel to other times and places. Another time and place? Lee, if you tell me this dream is a revelation, or some kind of magical omen, I think that makes sense. But tell me about the other time and place first. Batman shook his head. Lee was almost certain this was related to a parallel universe, but he couldn't tell Batman. Let me have Cyborg give you a full-body checkup. If Cyborg can't find the problem, We'll go to the Advanced Technology Laboratory and see the relevant experts. Leah believed that while Kryptonian technology was impressive, Kryptonians had no experience in time travel. Dr. Harrison Wells of the Advanced Technology Laboratory was the Reverse Flash from the future. Yes, he did have experience in time travel, at least in theory. He was over 100 years ahead of the world. Well, that seems like the only way to go. I hope I'm just being overly suspicious, Batman said, shaking his head. At noon, June Mun returned to the AOGI's residence with her boyfriend. Not long after they started dating, Colonel Rick Flag began living with Mun, more like surveillance than cohabitation. After a deep conversation, June Mun fell into deep sleep, while Colonel Flag, his muscular torso exposed, reported on the surveillance situation to Amanda. Which, June Moon muttered in her sleep. The witch could influence the human mind, and as the possession lasted longer, Dr. Moon's mind was gradually being taken over by the ancient witch. Hearing his girlfriend mutter behind him, and even chanting the spell to transform into a witch, Colonel Rick Flag jumped up in shock. He whipped out the pistol hidden under his pillow and pointed it at the person in bed. The word which caused June Moon to be enveloped in a black aura, transforming into the form of an ancient witch. What the hell? Colonel Rick Flag knew that firearms were useless against her. In this situation, he had to call Amanda. The witch stared at him silently, then opened Amanda's phone. She grinned and suddenly exerted mind control over her boyfriend. The call went through. Amanda asked in a serious tone, "What's going on, Colonel Rick Flag?" Colonel Rick Flag gripped the phone tightly, his expression struggling. In his mind, he imagined himself and June Mun, married and having children, a happy and fulfilling life. After a pause, Colonel Rick Flag's expression gradually softened. He smiled into the phone. "Sir, I just wanted to say, everything is normal, very good, continue monitoring." Out of trust in her subordinates, or perhaps due to her lack of understanding of the witch's power, Amanda didn't dwell on it. Now that Task Force X had officially been approved, she had a lot to do. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Another Universe. The witch's mind control had caused Colonel Rick Flag to conceal the truth about her transformation. She also heard from the phone that Amanda didn't seem to be with the AOMELD. Going to Amanda to reclaim her heart was a dead end. The next moment, the witch on the bed disintegrated into a puff of black mist, vanishing from the spot where she had been. When she reappeared, she had arrived at the AOMELD special storage room. Inside was another terracotta figurine, brought from the tomb by the AOMELD members. It was her brother's seal. "Brother, I'll release you right now." The witch easily retrieved her brother's seal. After all, the defenses here were designed for ordinary humans, not witches like her. Perfect candidate for possession, a muscular black man with weak spiritual power. "Brother, it's time for you to wake up." The witch shattered the seal on the terracotta figurine and guided her brother's soul into the black man's body. The demonic invasion caused the poor black man to tremble madly, and then he collapsed headfirst. Just as he was about to fall to the ground, the witch teleported behind the black man, caught him, and whispered in his ear, "Brother, wake up, you are free." The black man's eyes turned pure white, and a low, inhuman voice uttered from his mouth, "Where are we? Why are we sealed? A long time has passed. Humans betrayed us. Some of them stole our power and sealed us away," the witch replied. "But, they once worshipped us and regarded us as gods." The witch's voice was filled with anger. "Now they worship weapons, so I will build a powerful weapon to destroy them all. I will make humanity succumb to our fear." The surrounding black fog gradually dissipated, and the witch's figure disappeared, but her voice still echoed in the black man's ears, "Increase your power, feed on humans. Kill them all." The subway station was in commotion due to the sudden power outage, but after a few brief seconds, the lights came back on. "Hey, someone's fainted here, can anyone help him?" Suddenly, a passerby noticed the black man lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth, confused, and shaking all over. The wizard was destroying his mind and taking over his body. The crowd of onlookers. Anyone touched by the tentacle instantly shriveled up, turning into a mummy. The sudden change caught everyone off guard. The wizard's body gradually expanded, transforming into a terrifying demon radiating red light. "It's been so long since I tasted human flesh. Ho ha ho ha, Thousands of tentacles erupted from the wizard's body, sweeping through the crowd. The tentacles continued to grow, destroying the subway station and extending into the surrounding blocks. Wherever they passed, a pitch-black substance spread everywhere, and human life rapidly withered, leaving nothing alive. In a cutting-edge technology laboratory, Barry, Cisco, Caitlin, and Dr. Harrison Wells listened solemnly to Batman's account of his dream. "So, you dreamt of the Flash appearing in your dreams before you met Barry?" Dr. Harrison Wells's brow furrowed. Although he was the Reverse Flash from the future, there was no historical record of Batman's dreams. Lee winked at Cisco, clearly wanting to hear his opinion. Cisco, still staring intently at Batman, asked, "Can I have Batman's autograph? Perhaps I can find out Batman's true identity from his signature." Caitlin pinched Cisco hard and whispered, "Can you be serious?" Okay. Cisco immediately put on a serious expression. Dreams are actually related to brain activity. If something transmits a message that matches the frequency of your brain waves, your brain will produce such dreams. Barry looked confused. Then why did I appear in Batman's dream? He said this was the first time he dreamed of such a scene, and I haven't become the Flash yet. Is this some kind of prophecy? The idea that dreams can be prophetic has been around since ancient times. People from all regions of the world often connect dreams to the next day's events. Everyone was clueless and could only look at Dr. Harrison Wells, who had been silent since a moment ago. Dr. Wells, what do you think? Barry asked. After all, Harrison Wells was by far the most talented among them. Just judging by the dream message alone, it's a distress signal. Harrison Wells grasped the crucial point as soon as he spoke. So, we need to figure out where this distress signal came from? From the future, or somewhere else. As a speedster, Harrison Wells preferred the latter. After all, he knew the Flash of the future possessed the ability to travel through time. If it truly was a distress signal from the future, he wouldn't need to resort to such a foolish method as a dream. He could just run back. Somewhere else? Do you mean another time and space? Batman asked. At the mention of another time and space, Cisco clapped his hands and laughed. That's right. Another time and space. There's a hypothesis of parallel universes, though it's unproven. But theoretically, countless universes have countless possibilities, just like my favorite comic, The Avengers, Real World, Multiverse. Leah corrected Cisco's term. He shook his head slightly, inwardly sighing. Cisco's mouth must be blessed. Chapter 157, Deep Sleep. Batman was confused and asked, "So, what should I do? This dream has been tormenting me for ages." Batman's sleep schedule dictated that he only sleep about an hour a night, yet within that short hour, he'd have the same dream over and over again. This was excruciating. "I have an idea. When you're in deep sleep, we can simulate a signal receiver based on your brain waves and see if we can pick up any useful information," Cisco suggested. "That's a good idea." Harrison Wells nodded in agreement. Batman glanced inquiringly at Lee. Seeing no objection, he sighed. "What do you need from me, Mr. Batman? Please follow me." Caitlin led Batman to the medical equipment room in the state-of-the-art laboratory. After tinkering with the equipment for a while, she and Cisco created a helmet that looked like it had been heated by an ionizer better, Caitlin suggested hopefully. Cisco's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he agreed. "Yes, your bat mask might interfere with your brain waves, or, no, I'll be fine this way." Batman rejected Caitlin's suggestion. Too many people knew his identity, and he didn't want to add 3 more. He put on a helmet resembling an ionized perm and lay down on the nursing bed. "And then what?" "Then when you enter a deep sleep, we can record your brain waves and simulate a signal receiver," Caitlin said with a smile. Batman's face darkened. "I'm afraid I can't do that. I'm used to going to bed at 5 in the morning and waking up automatically around 6. For me, sleep." Caitlin didn't wait for Batman to finish. She reached out and pressed a button on the helmet. Click. "Batman, how-hoo-hoo-hoo, how-hoo-hoo-hoo, falling asleep already?" Leah was amazed. Caitlin looked pleased with herself. "Of course. This device stimulates the nerve cells in the cerebral cortex. When these nerve cells become overexcited, they become inhibited, creating sleepiness. At this point, simply amplifying the sleepiness tenfold will put Batman into deep sleep, 5 times the normal humans, but considering Batman's exceptional energy, I've adjusted it to 10, Cisco added. Lee shook her head. "So how long will it take you?" "About 30 minutes. As for Batman, let him sleep a little longer. He seems very tired, Cisco said. Afterward, Lee, Barry, and Harrison Wells chatted idly. Unlike Caitlin, Harrison Wells and Cisco remained silent on Batman's true identity. Instead, they were deeply interested in the Barry Allen and Batman's dreams. So, you all believe I can travel through time and space? Barry couldn't believe it. He claimed to be the fastest man in the world, but his current top speed was only Mach 1.2. He might soon break Mach 1.2, 1.3. But even so, he still couldn't make any impact on time and space. Harrison Wells patted Barry's arm, calming him. Barry, when you move at high speeds, you accumulate a lot of kinetic energy. If that energy reaches a certain level, perhaps you can break through the barriers of time and space. He gestured with an explosion, saying, then you can travel through time and space. Barry's eyes lit up with anticipation. How fast would it require? At Barry's question, Harrison Wells smiled and shook his head, saying, I don't know. It'll require a lot of effort. Okay, thank you, Dr. Wells. Geographically closer to the Sky Eye headquarters. Could it be? Cyborg, send the satellite video, Leah ordered. Roger. The next moment, Cyborg had hacked into the medical equipment room of the Etch Technology Laboratory and projected the satellite video directly onto the wall-mounted TV. On the screen, centered over the Philadelphia subway station, a massive energy artifact resembling an city arc reactor appeared in the sky. Oh my god, what's that? Everyone's eyes were fixed on the TV screen, save for a certain cutting black lab rat still in a deep sleep. Another alien invasion? Caitlin clenched her hands nervously, her eyes fixed on the TV screen with worry. Directly above the Philadelphia subway station, countless metal fragments of buildings circled the sky, forming a massive ring. From within the ring, a beam of light shot straight into the sky, like 1,000 flashes of lightning, and terrifying energy waves spread out in all directions. Cisco glanced at the TV screen, then at the serious-looking Leah, and asked weakly, Leah, did you hack into our system? Is there a problem? Leah asked, puzzled. Cisco's mouth twitched and he quickly shook his head. No. Cyborg's portrait appeared in the lower right corner of the TV screen. He said to Leah, Sky Eye just sent a document saying that they have been approved to enter Philadelphia and asked us not to interfere. After listening to Cyborg's report, Barry seemed very excited. Why don't you let us intervene? The people of Philadelphia are in danger. What do they think this is? A military competition? Cyborg ignored Barry's words, but looked at Leah, waiting for Leah's order. Barry, don't be impulsive. Amanda has just formed Task Force X. She intends to prove to the American government that she is capable of handling such a crisis. Leah explained calmly, naturally would not discourage the enthusiasm of Barry Allen, the Flash, and said, Barry, you will be responsible for assisting the police in evacuating the crowd. The ghost thing on the subway is still expanding. Make sure there are no additional casualties first. Okay, I'll go right away. Barry turned into a flash of lightning, first went to the main control room to change into his flash suit, and then quickly ran towards Philadelphia. Leah turned to look at the screen and asked Cyborg, can the central area still scan the presence of ordinary people? Chapter 158, Enchanting Witch. Satellite scans show no signs of life in the central area, only a group of, I don't know how to describe it, a group of lifeless, yet still moving monsters. Cyborg shifted the satellite's perspective, zooming in on the ground. The super satellite, modified with Kryptonian technology, could see every detail of the ground. The image showed a swarm of charred, zombie-like creatures. Oh my god, those are Philadelphia residents? What's happened to them? Cisco and Caitlin both covered their mouths, unable to look directly at the television screen. Notify Diana to stand by, Leah said. Avengers, are we really not participating in this battle? Cyborg asked doubtfully. Leah smiled and explained, of course. Since there are no civilians inside, let Amanda lead the team in first to test the waters. If she can handle it, that's great. If not, we'll take action later and maybe even make a killing. In one version of the story, Amanda's Suicide Squad had indeed performed a miracle, defeating the ancient witches and wizards. But in this world, Leah found it ridiculous. The ancient witches and wizards are demigod-level beings, their power ranking mid-level purple heroes. And what about Amanda's Suicide Squad? Only the Firelord is of any note, and the rest are just a few blue elites. A C4 bomb can take out an ancient magic demigod, then this demigod is truly a weakling. Back at the Eye Society, Amanda watched the busy crowd below with anticipation. The members of Task Force X have assembled. Their recent training has been excellent, and Amanda has every confidence in them. Station, take it out. Understand, Amanda barked orders with high spirits, still unaware that the witches were actually responsible for this incident. Understood, the soldiers, led by Rick Flag, were in high spirits, while the members of Task Force X looked helpless. Amanda ignored them and continued, Witch, take the bomb in first and flatten the subway station. Rick Flag, you lead Task Force at Trance, she shouted the word witch, transformed. The witch was shrouded in a swirling black aura. She gave Amanda a meaningful smile, and then a moment later, she suddenly disappeared. Amanda's face suddenly darkened, and she frowned, pressing the communicator, asking the AECC agent stationed in Philadelphia, has the witch reunited with you? A voice quickly came from the other end of the communicator, sir, the witch has appeared, ready. AA. Hello? Hello. Amanda's face turned pale as she slammed the communicator. Rick Flag stepped forward and demanded, what happened? The witch betrayed us. Amanda opened the briefcase and pressed a button, frantically torturing the heart within. This was the witch's heart, and whatever Amanda tortured it would be transmitted intact to the witch's body. The witch's body endured immense torture, and she wailed. Her figure flashed once again, moving to the center of the subway station. This area was shattered beyond recognition. On a staircase, the wizard had opened a magical portal at the cost of an entire city. A continuous stream of magic burst from the portal, surging into the sky, energizing the surrounding buildings and forming a massive ancient energy field. Once activated, the unleashed force could easily destroy an entire city. The wizard, his entire body aglow with a crimson glow, slowly turned. He raised his hand, and his sturdy arm transformed into a sharp spike, piercing the witch's heart. I've used magic to create a heart for you, temporarily relieving your heartache. Once the magic gate is fully opened, we will control the life and death of all mankind. They will once again worship us as gods. The wizard's deep voice echoed through the subway station. The black aura surrounding the witch suddenly collapsed, replaced by a soft magical aura. She transformed from a slovenly gothic witch into a graceful and alluring witch. With a magic gate as a source of power, the witch returned to her peak form. She slowly raised her eyelids, and a single glance was filled with a myriad of charm. Brother, these humans deserve to die, I know. Join me. The magic gate is only one step away. Sacrifice the entire city. As the wizard's voice fell, the enchantress opened her arms, her magic surging. Countless dark tentacles from the Philadelphia subway station expanded outward, devouring the civilians' life force. Swish, swish, swish. A flash of lightning raced back and forth across Philadelphia. The Flash, pushing his speed to the limit, barely managed to save the civilians near the altar. But the next moment, a terrifying energy surge emanated from the altar, and dark tentacles expanded frantically. Barry, why stop? Commercial Center. At least of thousands of people are gathered nearby. Leah has already called for support. Run, Barry, run. Barry didn't know what was happening inside the altar, but the lives of hundreds of thousands of civilians were no joke. Hearing Cisco surging through his earpiece, Barry's eyes flashed with lightning. He suddenly flew out, transformed into lightning once again, and rushed towards the crowd ahead. At the same time, Colonel Rick Flag, along with Task Force the Philadelphia subway station. They were stunned by the creatures roaming around, resembling charred zombies. Sir, didn't you say we just need to go to the subway station and detonate a bomb? What the hell are those? Deadshot asked, scanning the streets through his red lenses as he surveyed the shambling magical golems. Colonel Rick Flag was also bewildered. He aimed his semi-automatic rifle at one of the monster's heads and pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet blasted out, instantly exploding the monster's head. He watched the headless creature collapse limply. Nothing to be afraid of. Just a bunch of mindless monsters. Just blow their heads off. Let's get ready. Rick Flag waved his hand, addressing the group behind him. Deadshot shook his head and said to Killer Croc beside him, although I never miss a shot, I don't like fighting zombies. Don't worry, I don't like fighting crocodiles either. Don't try to kill yourself, Killer Croc retorted in a deep voice. But when Task Force 3 chapters of monthly votes will be added. Finally, please vote for me, please subscribe, and please recommend me. Chapter 159, Flame Demon. Sir, why do I feel like there's something wrong with these monsters? Deadshot slowed down. Killer Croc, Captain Boomerang, Katana, and the others drew their weapons and stared at the tumultuous swarm of magic golems. The next moment, the entire block of magic golems turned their gazes and swarmed over them. Fight! Fight! Everyone, shoot! Colonel Rick Flag commanded, raising his rifle and blasting forward. Task Force X and the military also engaged. Deadshot leaped onto a truck, taking a high vantage point, offering a panoramic view of the surrounding monsters. He unleashed a barrage of fire from his custom-made gun, each shot taking out a magic golem. Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, and Katana charged into the swarm of magic golems and engaged in a fierce battle. Unlike Killer Croc and Katana's purely melee combat, Captain Boomerang's fighting style was far more dramatic. He launched 3 boomerangs, like 3 nimble white doves, swiftly weaving through the swarm of magic golems. With a series of bangs and bangs, rows of magic puppets fell. Captain Boomerang swung his hands, slashed a few times, then maneuvered forward to catch the first thrown dart and launched another. It was like a juggler, effortless. Well done. Teams A and B, keep watch on the left and right sides of the street. The remaining team, wait for me to advance. Just when Colonel Rick Flag thought these fragile magic puppets were no match for them, the soldiers on either side suddenly changed their expressions and immediately reported, "Sir, weird, monster." As the Sky Eye Society advanced further, a dense mass of magic puppets appeared in front of them, flanked by those from behind. It was clearly a premeditated trap. Fuck. Hit them. Hit them hard. Colonel Rick Flag didn't care, were dwarfed by the number of magic puppets transformed from the civilians in the city. While the magic puppets' combat effectiveness was low, their numbers outnumbered them by dozens or even hundreds of times. Within the altar, the witch stared coldly into space, her beautiful eyes gleaming with a faint blue light. Rick Flag, my foolish host, thought he'd found true love. He was merely sent by Amanda to spy on me. He's been exploited and yet he seems so willing. Well, I'll kill him for my host. The witch's face was grim as she controlled the city's magic puppets, swarming towards Task Force, their wits' end. The two, disliking each other, were forced to support each other. As for the soldiers led by Rick Flag, the casualty rate reached 90%. The remaining troops retreated to a convenience store, using it as a base to defend themselves against the dense swarm of magical golems charging towards them. One of us hasn't taken action yet. Is he just here for fun? Captain Boomerang scoffed at the black-tattooed fire demon. Deadshot usually had a good impression of the fire demon, but his indifferent demeanor now irritated him. Rick Flag finished another round of ammunition and reached into his pocket, only to find it empty. He sighed wearily. Shadow Santana, I know you're reluctant to use your power, but now, if you don't take action, we're all going to die here. The tattooed man shook his head and said calmly, death? Everyone will die sooner or later. Is there any need to be so afraid? The fire demon, Shadow Santana, was born with the ability to control fire. During an argument with his wife, his energy went out of control and erupted into flames, accidentally killing his wife and children. From that moment on, the fire demon Shadow Santana vowed never to use his powers again. Deadshot, upon hearing the fire demon's words, flew into a rage. He threw himself before him and said, I know you're not afraid of death, and neither am I, but I still have a daughter. Listen. I know your past, so you should understand how I feel. I'm only taking on this ridiculous mission just to see my daughter. My daughter lost her mother, and she can't be without a father anymore. Please. The fire demon Shadow Santana's eyes flickered as more magic golems rushed into the convenience store, capturing several more soldiers. Alright, get out of the way. The fire demon Shadow Santana waved his hand and headed for the door. Everyone in the crowded convenience store made way for him, and Shadow Santana strolled to the door. Facing the swarm of magic golems charging towards him, he slowly raised his hand. Boom. Flames, orange-red with a cyan glow, instantly erupted from his palms like two giant flamethrowers, burning the magic puppets in front of him to ashes. Yes. I knew this taciturn guy had some tricks up his sleeve. Captain Boomerang was extremely excited. Deadshot also smiled. He had lost hope in life, but he couldn't let go of his daughter. For her, he couldn't die here. With a roar from the fire demon, a scorching flame shockwave spread out forward, rushing down like an avalanche, burning the magic puppets to dust. The crisis was over. Colonel Rick Flag glanced at the remaining men with a pale face. He raised a miniature display on his wrist and reported to Amanda, Sir, we've failed. Amanda's portrait appeared on the screen, and she demanded, What happened? You have the best equipment, it's a zombie-like creature. I don't know what it is. I only know, we've suffered heavy casualties and need support. Rick Flag's voice trembled. In this world, some problems are beyond the reach of ordinary people. The call ended quickly. Amanda Waller was stunned for a moment, then casually picked up something from the desk in front of her and threw it to the ground. Useless people. The technician, holding the phone, came to Amanda's side and said solemnly, "Sir, the president is calling." It was a perfect storm, and the president's call came at just the right time. "Amanda, how's the situation in Philadelphia going?" Guanhe's voice sounded grave on the line, clearly in a very bad mood. Chapter 160, Leah's Conditions. Before hearing the news of the army's destruction, Amanda had imagined that when the president inquired, she'd be able to confidently claim that everything was under control. But now that the army was destroyed and the members of Task Force Any Crisis. And now? Is it resolved? Listen to my explanation, Mr. President. I'm going to. Shut up, Amanda. Guanhe was truly furious. I shouldn't have trusted you. Within 1 hour, I don't care what you do. If the situation in Philadelphia isn't resolved, the Sky Eye Society will cease to exist. With that, he abruptly hung up. Amanda's face darkened. After a long silence, she said to the technician, "Call the Justice League. Will they help?" "After all, you just sent a letter asking them not to interfere," the technician added. "I know," Amanda yelled. "What else can we do? Diana and Barry have already controlled the situation. If you have something to say it quickly. If you have to fart quickly." Leah did not have a good attitude towards Amanda. Amanda put aside her dignity and turned around to beg Leah, but she didn't expect Leah to retort her right away, which made Amanda almost want to throw the phone again in anger. However, if the phone was thrown, there would be no way to end it. Thinking of this, Amanda took a deep breath, suppressed her anger, and said, "Avengers, you know about what happened in Philadelphia. I hope you can step in and handle it. I remember over an hour ago, you told me that the Philadelphia situation would be handled by your Sky Eye Society, and that you hoped our Justice League would not interfere," Leah replied bluntly. At this point, there were no more people alive near the Philadelphia subway station, and the surrounding residents had been evacuated by Leah and his team. Leah was not in a hurry. Hearing this, Amanda was furious and asked angrily, "Are you not going to intervene if we can't solve it?" "That's not the case, but you will bear the primary responsibility for this incident," Leah said indifferently. Amanda was silent for a moment. She understood Leah's intentions. "Stop beating around the bush. What do you want?" "It's simple. First, from now on, the Eye of Heaven will dismantle its military structure and transfer all military funds to the Justice League." Before Leah could finish, Amanda exclaimed, "Why don't you just rob a bank? That's tens of billions of dollars. While the Eye of Heaven may have a certain military structure, it's not a military center, so its military budget naturally can't be compared to that of a regular military center." Formal. Leah smiled. "Robbing a bank isn't as profitable as robbing you guys. Don't think I don't know. You were the one who caused the Philadelphia incident. If you don't agree, expect to go to." From the beginning, if Amanda Court hadn't been obsessed with controlling the Enchantress, this wouldn't have happened. It was only President Guanhe who didn't know the truth, otherwise he would have torn her apart personally instead of simply abolishing the Eye of Heaven. Leah had a handle on Amanda, leaving her with very little choice. "Okay, first condition." "I agree," Amanda said through gritted teeth. Leah wasn't surprised and continued, "Secondly, you need to hand over the members of Task Force X to me. You still plan to deal with these criminals?" Amanda was utterly surprised. She hadn't expected Leah to make such a request. After all, Task Force all right. "I agree to your terms, you're smart." Leah hung up the phone, waved to Diana and Barry, and the three of them headed for the center of the altar. As for the magic golems near the altar, Leah soared into the air, his eyes blazing with light. With a sweeping motion, he wiped out an entire city block. Barry Allen, the Flash, sprinted at full speed, actually dispatching each of these fragile golems with one hand. The three of them cleared out the monsters in less than 14 minutes. Boom! Leah plummeted from the sky, piercing the subway station's ceiling and plummeting to the center of the altar. Diana followed closely behind, and in a flash of lightning, Barry arrived. The three stood in a row, their gaze fixed on the witch and the wizard before the magic door. On the steps, the witch waved her hands, using her magic to form magical weapons in the sky. The energy fluctuations grew more intense. Leah, you said they were brother and sister. Why is the sister so beautiful, but the brother? Barry pursed his lips, a look of disdain. You mean the wizard is ugly? Leah asked. I'm not handsome at all. Compared to the witch in human form, the wizard was taller, his face more sinister, and his body glowed with a scarlet light, giving him the appearance of someone who could stop a child from crying at night. The wizard only smiled at the two's complaints, but the witch smiled. I sense the ripples of magic from all three of you, the witch said, looking at the three before her. Leah and Diana both possessed divine powers, which could be considered a form of magic. As for Barry Allen, the Flash, he possessed the Speed Force. While Leah wasn't sure how to define the Speed Force, one thing was certain, it wasn't simply physical strength. Join me. This is our era. The sun is about to set, magic is about to rise, and superpowers are a sign of change. Together, we can rule the world and make mortals worship us as gods. The witch unleashed a deluge of mental interference, and desire, greed, and other emotions flooded the minds of the three. The Flash's eyes changed for a moment, but he quickly regained consciousness. As a speedster, his mental and spiritual abilities far surpassed those of ordinary humans. As for Leah and Diana, they were completely unaffected gods? Who gave you the courage? Leah was almost amused. Chapter 161, Thunder. The witch and the wizard both wield powerful magic, achieving immortality compared to humans. However, in Leah's view, these two individuals were merely demigods. Even with a magic gate providing them with a constant supply of magical power, they could only barely reach the level of true gods. So what if they were true gods? Leah had even slain Ares, the god of war, so why would he fear them? Sensing Leah's contempt, the witch's face darkened. She addressed the wizard beside her in an ancient language. Brother, these people don't seem to understand our power. Let them submit to us. The wizard, standing nearby, gave a sinister smile. No problem. With a magic gate, we are invincible. They could sense Leah's immense divine power, but the presence of the magic gate had caused the witch and wizard to overestimate themselves. Meters from the three, the wizard raised his right hand, his arm erupting in a crimson glow. A tentacle like a whip shot out, sweeping towards them. Diana, seeing this, stepped forward, facing the waving tentacle, raising her Vulcan sword and slashing at it. Ahem. The Vulcan sword whirred softly as it descended, severing the wizard's tentacle in two. How dare you hurt me? The wizard roared deeply, a magical portal surging endlessly. A constant stream of magical power surged in, and his severed arm suddenly grew, becoming several times thicker than before, wrapping around him like a venomous snake. Diana, nimble and agile, dodged the wizard's attack in midair, the Vulcan sword in her hand blooming like a flower. Clang. 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 After several clashes, the wizard's tentacle was once again chopped into several sections. Diana suddenly leaped up, swiftly slashed across, and slashed through the wizard's throat. Swish! The Vulcan sword sliced through the wizard's neck, and his head rolled down. Nothing more. Diana, sword in hand, looked up at the enchantress on the steps. However, the wizard, who should have been dead, remained standing straight. He suddenly stretched out his arm, picked up the fallen head, and placed it back on his neck. You can't kill me. As long as last magics, I will never die, the wizard spoke in an ancient language. As an Amazon, Diana knew every language on Earth, so she naturally understood his words. No one is immortal. Diana didn't believe in immortality. Even Zeus, the king of the gods, died during Ragnarok. How could a demigod dare to talk about immortality in her presence? This time, the wizard unleashed both hands, carrying a violent gust of wind, charging at her like a mammoth out of control. Diana, holding up her divine shield, charged forward. Boom! A loud explosion echoed in the air, and the two retreated. Diana dropped her sword and shield, crossed her arms, and clashed them. Buzz buzz buzz. The protective silver bracelets clashed, and a fierce burst of divine power swept through like a hurricane. Under this terrifying pressure, the wizard's eyes flashed with fear. He subconsciously drew magic power from the magic portal to counteract Diana's divine power. How? How is it possible? This woman possesses such terrifying power, the witch frowned. In the previous energy burst, the magic portal behind she actually shook slightly. Could someone affect the stability of the magic portal? Is it possible? Before the witch and the wizard could think, Diana struck the protective silver bracelet again. Another burst of divine power erupted. The wizard doubled over, desperately resisting, and his body even showed signs of collapse. Fortunately, the magic portal was still there, and he quickly drew magic power to heal his injuries. One strike. Leah observed Diana's battle and spoke. "I'll give it a try." Diana nodded. Her divine power had more than doubled during this period of training, but she wasn't yet adept at wielding it. Closing her eyes, Diana silently channeled the divine power within her, focusing it on her arms. Her hair fluttered without a breeze. With a clashing sound, silver-white arcs of electricity flashed on her wrists. Diana raised her eyes, her gaze piercing. Valkyrie. A turbulent wave surged within the wizard. The opponent's magic power instantly became overwhelming. A head-on confrontation would kill him. Haha! Diana leaped forward, concentrating all her divine power into thunderbolts, attaching them to the protective silvers. In that instant, time seemed to slow down. Diana's hands suddenly collided. Before the protective silver bracelets on her wrists even touched, a dense stream of silver lightning connected. "Sister, save me." The wizard didn't even think of resisting. The other woman was a Valkyrie descended to earth, even the god of warlocks would be instantly slain. The witch, naturally, wouldn't stand by and watch her brother be slain. The moment Diana gathered her divine power, she waved her hands, her magic surged, and she activated the magical weapons behind her. The magic portal's light flared, and a column of energy shot up into the sky. A massive ring of energy surged in the sky. "Thunder!" the witch roared, and a rumble echoed from the sky. A bolt of lightning, as thick as a bowl, suddenly descended from the clouds, ripped a hole through the subway station, and crashed down in front of Diana. Diana was struck head-on by the lightning. Her newly gathered divine power shattered, sending her flying backwards, shattering the reinforced concrete pillars behind her. Before Leah and Barry could react, thunder roared again from the sky, thunderbolts as powerful as Ares' full-strength strikes descended. "Can they control the lightning in the sky?" Barry's face paled. Although he'd been struck by lightning, becoming the Flash, this lightning wasn't the same as his predecessor. If he'd been struck head-on, he'd have been pierced through and killed. Not everyone could withstand a thunderbolt like Diana. Crash! Barry moved swiftly, trailing a long trail of yellow lightning. Bowl-sized bolts of lightning crashed down from the sky, forming a stark contrast to the slender lightning behind him. It was like the difference between an ancient python and a young snake. After dodging the lightning, Barry turned sharply and found Leah still standing. Facing the thunderbolt, he slowly raised a finger. "Should I be so showy? Even a body of steel can conduct electricity," Barry thought to himself, feeling his scalp tingle. Chapter 162, Instant Kill. This lightning power already falls under the category of magic. While Leah's physical defense is practically invincible, his magic resistance isn't very high. Furthermore, his godhood is still in its infancy. Facing a thunderbolt comparable to Ares' full-strength attack, Leah wouldn't be much better off than Diana. However, Leah has 5 seconds of invincibility. The moment the lightning struck, Leah slowly raised his finger, silently invoking the skill, Iron Body. This is a unique skill inherited from Fiorenuka. Once activated, Leah, with his Kryptonian heritage, is immune to all attacks for 5 seconds. Rumble. The lightning suddenly struck, a flash of lightning. However, upon contact with Leah's fingers, it vanished like the yellow river into the sea, leaving no trace which, stunned by this scene, her smile froze. What was going on? This magical weapon summoned thunder from the heavens. It would kill any god, no matter who it was, unless they were gods of Zeus lineage. But this man, far from dying, stood there as if nothing had happened, playing with the lightning in his hand. It was as if he hadn't caught a bolt of lightning, but a white kitten. What the hell? Damn it, the witch refused to believe it. She raised her hand again, increasing her magic output, and thunder rolled down from the sky again. Boom. Suddenly, 3 or 4 bolts as thick as bowls fell. Leah stood still unflinching, raising his arms again. His 5 seconds of invincibility weren't over yet, so he naturally took in all the thunder. Leah's body was slightly suspended in the air, covered in silver lightning, as if he were wearing a dazzling holy garment. His 5 seconds of invincibility had expired. Haha, I really don't know what to say to you guys. You're playing with thunder in front of me? Who gives you the courage? Leah slowly raised his hand, pointed a finger at the wizard who was about to charge him, and lightly tapped it. Crack! A bolt of lightning suddenly appeared, illuminating the center of the subway station. Like a button. How could this happen? Why? He had believed that relying on the magic gate's endless supply of magic power would allow him to achieve immortality, but to Lia's finger, the wizard had no time to react. Instant kill. Barry instinctively clutched his heart at the sight. If Lia had directed this lightning bolt at him, would he have survived? Brother, no. Seeing her brother's body begin to crumble, the witch dove to his side. Brother, don't die. We haven't conquered this world yet. She raised her hand, desperately channeling her magic, attempting to repair the wizard's body. But the lightning, tamed by Lia, was tainted with his divine power. Divine lightning was the nemesis of all magic. Unless the opponent's magic was greater than Lia's, a single bolt of lightning would annihilate them. I will kill you. Her eyes were red, and she glared fiercely in Lia's direction. She suddenly raised her hand, and the lightning from the sky rained down again. His invincibility was over. The lightning created by the opponent's magical weapon was so powerful that even Lia couldn't withstand it head-on. But he didn't need to resist. He had just absorbed so many lightning bolts. He couldn't digest them all in a short time, so he might as well return them. Showing off in front of an expert, Lia snorted disdainfully his most powerful. In mythology, Zeus, the king of the gods, wielded thunderbolts. A single strike from him could cause the sky to crumble and mountains and rivers to shatter. Lia's divinely powered lightning bolt collided with the lightning from the witch's magical weapon. A crackle. The entire subway station was blanketed in overflowing lightning, as if it were in the midst of a lightning storm. Barry, you two get out first. It's dangerous here, Diana advised Barry the Flash, noting the signs of cracking in the ceiling above. The Flash had long since given up wanting to stay here. He was, after all, suited to saving lives. The next moment, Barry and Diana rushed out simultaneously. As they left, thunder suddenly exploded. Boom! A shockwave of electric current spread, shattering the Philadelphia subway station and collapsing in an instant, impacting surrounding buildings. Whatever the source, the shockwave shattered buildings, leaving them in ruins. Ye's hand shot up into the sky, like a rainbow piercing the sun, and landed on the magic gate. The magic gate's magical power was inexhaustible, but Lia's divine lightning could destroy everything. Under such a terrifying blow, the magic gate's stability began to collapse, and the magic circle in the sky collapsed and fell. No, the witch wept in fury. The magic gate gradually closed, but she was helpless. Although the magic gate was only closed, not destroyed, it opening again would require the sacrifice of another city's worth of human beings. But was that even possible? Witches, wizards, as ancient sorcerers, you attempt to conquer and slaughter modern society, disrupting its progress. You are sentenced to death. Lia floated in midair, his eyes indifferent as he gazed down at the witch and the dying wizard on the ground. The magic power in his body was draining away like the yellow river bursting its banks. Once it was exhausted, he would truly die. Why are you siding with the humans? Sooner or later, they will betray you, just as they betrayed us. The witch stared at Lia intently, as if cursing him. You are you, and we are us. Lia had used up all the lightning he had absorbed, but it didn't matter. He had divine power of his own. The divine power transformed into lightning, dancing between his fingers. I'm not like you. Humans fear you, but they worship us. With that, the lightning from his fingers thundered down. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, Time Dome. Regardless of era, ordinary people fear those with superpowers. This was true in the days of the witches, and it's still true in modern society. The only difference is that in their time, witches used magic to intimidate ordinary people. In this era, superpowers serve as role models. Superman, Batman, the Flash. They've become heroes and idols in the eyes of ordinary people. Hope. As for Lia, he acts as the executioner behind these heroes. Without the magic gate, the witches and wizards are nothing more than ordinary, demigod-level magicians. Faced with Lia's thunderous power, they are powerless. Sky Eye Society. Amanda sat in her office, lost in thought. Suddenly, the suitcase containing the witch's heart blazed with light, then quickly dimmed. She quickly opened it and discovered that the witch's heart had been reduced to dust. The witch had previously had the wizard create a magical heart for her, temporarily shielding Amanda from any abuse she might inflict on it. But the thought of Leah taking away the Ice Society's military and task force filled her with unease. The Ice Society had built itself up over the years to reach its current size. With the military taken away, the organization would collapse in an instant. But she couldn't refuse. Philadelphia's short blonde hair, an unshaven beard, and a nearly smoked cigarette dangling from his lips. He reached the edge of the altar and leaped onto it with a light leap drag. He turned and left. In the cutting-edge technology laboratory. In the medical equipment room, when Li Ye and the others returned, Caitlin and Cisco were still adjusting various data. Batman, how-hoo-hoo-hoo, how-hoo-hoo-hoo, why is Bat here? And sleeping so soundly? Did he say he'd dream about Barry when he fell asleep? Asked Diana in confusion. This remark nearly choked Barry, who was standing by. Diana, you're saying that, and it could easily lead to misunderstandings. Li Ye, no longer bothering to tease Barry, asked, have you detected anything? Well, there's indeed a hidden signal source syncing with Batman's brainwaves, but we can't track it, let alone decipher it. Simply put, Caitlin had confirmed Dr. Harrison Wells's hypothesis. It was a distress signal from another dimension. Then can you respond to it? Li asked. Cisco shook his head. It's just that our current research in space science is so backward. We need more research to understand the mechanism and origin of this signal, but it's going to take a long time, because just improving the equipment is giving me a headache. Scientific research is like that. To explore deeper mysteries, one needs not only a brilliant mind but also the equipment to match it. Let's go to the Justice League headquarters. I think they'll have the equipment you need. And, if you have any questions, you can ask Superman, Leah suggested. Upon hearing this, Cisco felt as if he had won a 50 million lottery. His expression was filled with extreme joy, his body trembling with excitement. Superman. Superman. Wait, Leah, are you saying Superman is also a scientist? No, he's not a scientist, not one of your kind. Superman is. You can think of him as a humanoid search engine. Leah helplessly shattered Cisco's fantasy. After all, Krypton's technological knowledge was only stored in Superman's brain, and he had never considered applying it. Otherwise, if Superman switched to science, he would definitely win the Nobel Prize and make the whole world question his life. Caitlin disappeared silently. When she reappeared, she was carrying a simple backpack. Pointing at the still-lying Batman, she asked, what should we do with him? Wake him up or push him away? I'm ready to go. Harrison Wells, in his wheelchair, slapped his head. He was only his last two employees, his last two. Was he going to be poached so easily? Cisco seemed to read Harrison Wells's thoughts. He explained, Dr. Wells, our hearts are still with the Advanced Technology Lab. We're just going there for a little while. We'll be back when you need us. Harrison Wells felt like killing himself after hearing this. How could anything be so comforting? He felt bitter, but couldn't bring himself to say it. He could only wave his hand. Go ahead, how about you come, Dr. Wells? Cisco invited him earnestly. Caitlin sensed Dr. Wells was on the verge of exploding. She whispered in Cisco's ear, Cisco, what you're saying is really inappropriate. Can you please consider Dr. Wells's feelings? Harrison Wells overheard this. Unable to bear it any longer, and unable to lose his temper in front of Lee, he pushed his wheelchair out. After Harrison Wells left, Cisco packed his things. There's no time to lose. Let's go now. For them, the chance to witness Krypton's technology and meet Superman was something ordinary people could only dream of. After leaving the medical equipment room, Harrison Wells walked to the center of the corridor. He reached out and pressed a hand on a stone wall. Gideon, search for Lois Lane for me, Dr. Harrison Wells ordered. Okay, wait a moment. Countless data flashed on the screen before him. Harrison Wells' eyes moved rapidly, quickly reviewing all the information. In a few years, Lois Lane would marry Clark Kent and live a life of happiness. In Legend newspaper from 2025 read, Red Sky Crisis, the Justice League vanishes. Besides today's 2 daily updates, there are 3 more chapters left for rewards. 9/12. Another 100 monthly votes will add 1 more chapter, and there are 3 more chapters left for monthly votes. Finally, please subscribe, vote, and recommend. Everyone. Chapter 164, Non-Staff. At the Justice League's Earth headquarters, Cisco and Caitlin, under Cyborg's guidance, quickly mastered technology beyond Earth's reach. As for Batman Bruce Wayne, After being carried to the Justice League by Lee, he was left in the infirmary. Everyone was busy with their own affairs, and they'd forgotten about him. And then, severely sleep-deprived Batman slept for a whole day and night. This was probably the first time he'd slept that long since donning the Batman costume. Back at the AIEC, the Philadelphia incident was resolved, and Aogwanhe didn't pursue further questions. Though reluctant, Amanda still submitted a request to transfer military funds. Aogwanhe agreed without hesitation. After all, the AIEC wasn't a formal military organization, and their budget wasn't excessive, only around 50 or 60 billion, a pittance compared to the hundreds of billions spent by the North American Joint Air Force Command. From then on, the AIECC transformed from a military organization specializing in supernatural investigations into a scientific investigation research unit. Lear entered the Justice League's elevator and asked Cyborg, who was following him, how many people are there in Task Force X, 6 regular members, and 7 or 8 reserve members. But after we recruited them yesterday, everyone went before the tribunal of the 3 sages for trial. Only 5 were sentenced to imprisonment, the others were thrown into the Phantom Zone, Cyborg replied. Deadshot Floyd Lawton, Boomerang Captain George Harkness, Killer Croc Waylon Jones, Fire Lord Shadow Santana, and finally, Bronze Tiger Benjamin Turner. Cyborg read out the names of the 5. There was also Katana, who wasn't a criminal, but rather an outsider hired by Amanda. Now that she was part of Task Force X, she was considered a non-staff member of the Justice League. Bronze Tiger passed his trial? Could he have turned over a new leaf? Lear was surprised. Bronze Tiger was Batman's old rival, having once defeated him in a bare-handed fight. Later, Batman's strength improved, and he quickly avenged his defeat. Afterward, Bronze Tiger successfully escaped from prison, but before he could seek revenge on Batman, he was sent to Iron Mountain by Green Arrow. He's a martial arts enthusiast. After Amanda implanted a microbomb in him, he felt an unprecedented sense of relief. It said he refused her help in removing it. Cyborg removed the microbomb from the brains of everyone who passed the trial, replacing it with a harmless tracking device. Bronze Tiger, however, refused to have the microbomb removed. What a masochist, Leah sighed, then took the elevator to the Justice League's prison floor. Upon exiting the elevator, a Kryptonian alloy door greeted him, flanked by 2 burly androids. Compared to the maintenance-focused androids on other floors, the prison androids were more combat-oriented. After all, those imprisoned here were no ordinary criminals, requiring a certain level of force to prevent emergencies. The 2 combat-focused androids at the door scanned Leah and quickly confirmed his identity. Mr. Avenger, how can I help you? One of the androids asked, opening the prison door for Li Yam. Gather the prisoners to the interrogation room. I have something to ask them. Li Ya walked straight in. Following Li Ya's order, the intelligent machines remotely opened the doors of all the prisoners. And a special combat intelligent machine led them to the interrogation room. Where are these idiots taking us? Harley Quinn regained her former liveliness. She was the first to jump out of the cell, looking around, trying to think if there was a possibility of escape. Can't touch you. Can you feel how much I miss you? Poison Ivy said nothing, cupped Harley Quinn's cheek and kissed her. Deadshot walked past the 2 lesbians, his heart pounding with anxiety. Hey, you two, be careful, this is a public place. Poison Ivy, unfazed, glanced at Deadshot and snorted, how, men, the 5 members of Task Force X, plus Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, a group of 7 followed androids into the interrogation room. Leah sat casually at a table, while others stood scattered around below. Without waiting for any questions, Leah spoke first. Let me introduce myself. I'm Avenger, President of the Justice League. Oh, so you're the Avenger? I heard you have powerful superpowers, like Superman. Besides Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, only Deadshot and Captain Boomerang knew Leah. Killer Croc and Firecracker were unaware. Having spent the past 2 years in prison, they had no detailed knowledge of what was happening outside. Deadshot heard from somewhere that the Justice League was a special department that didn't belong to the government. He bravely walked up to Lear and said, Hey, I heard that you have superpowers. We have superpowers here too, and I know superpowers too. If you let us go, I will be grateful to you for the rest of my life. Harley Quinn laughed and sat down on the ground after hearing what Deadshot said. Ha ha ha. You begged him to let you go? Don't dream. If he could let you go, I would eat 200 puddings for lunch today. Actually, I do want to let you go, Leah said seriously. Deadshot was the first to be stunned. He picked his ears, thinking he had misheard. Commander, you just said you were going to let us go. Harley Quinn looked helpless. Hey, men, are you teasing me on purpose? I'm not teasing you. Of course I'm not letting you go home just like that. I can give you freedom, but there is one condition, Leah said. Captain Boomerang and Killer Croc, though scornful, were still listening intently. Fire Demon, on the other hand, genuinely didn't care. He was truly despairing. Freedom or death, it made no difference to him. Deadshot was the only one eager for freedom. What conditions? You want me to kill for you? Quite the contrary. You know our Justice League is a special division comprised of vigilantes and superheroes. I can offer you an opportunity, a chance to volunteer for the Justice League. Simply put, it's about using your talents to assist the police in carrying out dangerous missions. Before Leah could finish, Captain Boomerang questioned, you sound so high-sounding, but what's the difference between you and Amanda Waller? Chapter 165, Benefits of the Justice League. Of course there is a difference, Leah retorted. At least Amanda didn't give you a choice. Deadshot didn't really care what he did. His biggest concern was freedom, or rather, seeing his daughter. Sir, I'll join, but I want to see my daughter. That's my only request. If you can provide a full scholarship for my daughter, so she can go to the best elementary and middle schools, and a prestigious university. I hope it's Harvard, an Ivy League school, MIT, or something like that. Deadshot was sentenced to life imprisonment, denied even the most basic visits. Without being a parent, one could never understand a father's concern for his daughter. Since his imprisonment, Deadshot hadn't seen his daughter in almost 2 years. Especially after the Battle of Philadelphia, Deadshot was truly worried about his own death. Even seeing his daughter for the last time was a luxury. This isn't an orphanage. You shouldn't worry about your daughter's education yourself, Leah said, shaking his head. At first, Deadshot thought Leah had rejected his offer, but upon closer inspection, his heart skipped a beat. What did she mean by worrying about it himself? He still has the chance to worry about his daughter's schooling? While this might be a headache for most people, it was something Deadshot couldn't have wished for more. Sir, what do you mean? Deadshot asked uncertainly, even using honorifics. As long as you agree to serve the Justice League, you'll be free, but there's a 6-month probation period. As long as you pass the psychological evaluation and other indicators, you'll be free again, or in other words, become a non-staff member of the Justice League. Official membership of the Justice League can only consist of superheroes, but Leah had just recruited the Sky's forces, and after a thorough screening, he still retained about 1/20th of them. So, what does it take to become a non-staff member? Captain Boomerang asked, also showing interest. The main job is to fight criminals. The League's data terminals will assign you tasks. Non-staff benefits include working 5 days a week and 2 days off, reporting mandatory for emergencies, and evaluations every 3 months. A monthly salary, $150,000, Leah outlined the benefits of being a non-staff member of the Justice League. Deadshot, 5 days on, 2 days off. Captain Boomerang, $15 a month. Killer Croc, a $150,000 monthly salary might not seem like much to these guys who risk their lives. According to the Constitution, they could easily make hundreds of millions. This was relatively easy for super criminals like Deadshot and Captain Boomerang. But while the money might be tempting, they'll soon face pursuit by the police, vigilantes, and superheroes. Either they'll be on the run or locked up for life. Fire Demon, who had remained silent until then, chuckled self-deprecatingly. So, you want a bunch of criminals to fight criminals? I don't believe anyone is inherently bad, a criminal, or just trash. I'm giving you the choice. You can join the Justice League's non-members, or stay in prison. Everyone here is serving a life sentence, and you can stay in the Justice League cells until you die, Leah said, crossing his legs. I'll join. Deadshot was the first to speak up, then a wary expression crossed his face. Sir, is it really like you said? Are you really willing to let us out? Of course. But you better understand, if you choose to join the Justice League as a non-staff member, if you return to your old ways, you'll be killed miserably. Leah didn't mean to threaten, simply stated the truth. This reassured Deadshot. No problem, I figured it out a long time ago. Family is most important. Besides, I can do what I'm good at and still earn enough to support my daughter. By the way, Is the monthly salary really $150,000? The Justice League really has that much money. $150,000 a month equals $1.8 million a year, a salary considered upper class in America. For the Justice League, our funding is in the tens of billions. You're a non-staff member, so this is all we have, Leah said, shaking his head. Leah had siphoned off a significant amount of funds from Ogwanhe, and soon, the United Nations would make a statement, too. By then, the Justice League's coffers would be filled to an unimaginable level. After deducting the spaceship under construction, daily expenses for Earth headquarters, and donations for the city's destruction, the Justice League still had a significant amount of funds remaining, and the funds would continue to increase annually. Naturally, Leah couldn't afford to keep so much money to himself, so he issued a vigilante bank card to each Justice League member, with monthly deposits based on membership level. These cards were specially processed, preventing transfers and spending from being tracked. However, Leah understood that Clark hadn't used the funds from Superman's bank card. Instead, he had donated them all anonymously. Leah was solely responsible for distributing the funds to the respective accounts. How the money was spent wasn't his concern. After all, Superman and his friends didn't become heroes for the money. Batman had plenty of money, and Barry had bought a mansion in Central City outright. Ahem, we agreed not to worry. Then, I'll join too. Killer Croc was the next to express his interest. He didn't care about the monthly salary, but simply wanted to be active, and confined to a cell was too much for him. Captain Boomerang and Brown's Tiger, after some thought, also expressed their willingness to join. The remaining three, Firelord, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn, seemed uninterested in this matter, and Leah didn't force them. Go down and join the 4 non-staff members. Instructor Fire will give you unified training tomorrow. Leah waved his hand, signaling them to leave. Deadshot left happily. After all, he had the chance to see his daughter again, and he would cherish such an opportunity. Captain Boomerang and Brown's Tiger were worried, but they also knew that following Leah was definitely better than staying with Amanda. However, they couldn't betray her. If they did, the people thrown into the Phantom Zone would serve as a lesson. Everyone left one after another, only Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy lingered. What's wrong? Are you two still busy? Leah asked, frowning. Harley Quinn opened her wide mouth and pulled out a lollipop from somewhere. She tore open the wrapper, opened her mouth wide, and stuffed it in, stirring it with her tongue and sucking. Hiss. Wow, Harley Quinn's mouth is so big. This was Leah's first reaction. Chapter 166, No, there is surveillance. Can Harley and I share a cell? Poison Ivy asked. Harley Quinn walked over to Leah's desk. Leah's heart raced. Was Harley Quinn hinting at something? She was definitely hinting at something, and it was a crazy hint. But you're in jail. Can you act like you're in jail? Leah crossed her legs again, trying to hide her embarrassment. Harley Quinn raised her head. For some reason, Leah had to close his eyes and not see what was going to happen next. If he saw it, and if that shameful author described it, the book would definitely be banned again. Wait. Why did I say again? Leah closed his eyes, and began searching for a card. Where was the mayor's card? Where was the skill card that was absolutely undetectable? Rolling in the deep, you had my heart inside of your hands. Just then, Leah's phone rang. Fuck. Who the hell is calling me at this hour? Leah opened his eyes helplessly, pulled out his phone, and saw it was Felicity. Why her? Why would Felicity call him out of the blue? Poison Ivy, restless, glanced at Leah's phone and asked with a bitter tone, you have someone else out there? Leah's face sank. What did she mean by I have someone else out there? Not in the mood to argue with these two lunatics, he pressed the answer button. Hi, Felicity, it's Leah. Leah, Felicity's voice came from the other end, tears streaming down her face, as if she was trying hard to suppress her tears. Leah, Oliver. Oliver is dead. What? What happened? Leah was also shocked. How could he die? Felicity sobbed softly, and Poison Ivy's hand froze Leah's face. He quickly stood up from his chair, shook off Poison Ivy's hand, and walked out without paying any more attention to Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Felicity calmed down and began to explain the whole story. Since Leah had helped Oliver defeat Slade Wilson, the Deathstroke, over half a year earlier, he had changed the plot somewhat, but some things remained unchanged. Oliver's mother survived and became mayor as she had hoped. Oliver's sister, Thea, had also survived, but her biological father, Malcolm Merlyn, had returned to Star City. Having experienced Slade Wilson's kidnapping, Malcolm Merlyn persuaded his daughter to train with him. To force Oliver to fight the Ninja Master, Malcolm Merlyn used a secret drug to control Thea, causing her to shoot and kill Sarah Lance, a member of the League of Assassins. Heartbroken by Sarah's death, Oliver vowed to tear the murderer to pieces. However, when Malcolm's plot was exposed, Oliver learned his sister had killed the woman he loved, leaving him in a dilemma. Later, the League of Assassins came to Oliver's door, demanding Thea's life in exchange. Oliver, naturally, wouldn't let his sister be threatened. Knowing all this was Malcolm's plot, he still volunteered to join Thea in the League of Assassins. He even challenged their leader, the Ninja Master Ra's al Ghul, Rishku. During a battle on the snowy peaks, Oliver couldn't bring himself to kill him, but the Ninja Master seized the opportunity, stabbed him in the abdomen, and kicked him off a cliff. So that's how it is, Leah felt relieved after hearing Felicity's explanation. Kicked off the cliff, it would be fine. As long as they didn't die instantly, they wouldn't die from being kicked off the cliff while half dead. Have you ever seen a protagonist die from falling off a cliff? They usually have a strange encounter, right? Felicity, unaware of this rule, continued crying, "Leah, you can fly, you're invulnerable. Please bring me Oliver's body, okay? I want him alive, or dead. This is my last request, please." It was clear that Felicity had deep feelings for Oliver. Leah comforted her, "It's okay. Oliver won't die. He's still very lucky. Have Diggle take you to the Justice League headquarters, he knows the location." Diggle's wife was a former operative of the Eye. After the Eye disbanded its military, all relevant personnel joined the Justice League. After numerous rounds of screening, Diggle's wife was retained, effectively making her a non-member of the Justice League. Felicity assumed Leah was trying to comfort her by saying Oliver wouldn't die, and she didn't blame her for thinking so. After all, in her opinion, being stabbed and falling from a snowy peak was a sure death. "Leah, Diggle isn't back, but I can have Roy accompany me to your place," Felicity said through tears. "I'll send someone to pick you up." "Send me your location," Lee said, then hung up. Felicity quickly sent her location, and Lee instructed Fiora to go to Star City and fetch Felicity. "Cyborg, ask Batman for the location of the League of Assassins. Also, prepare a plane. I need to take them there." Lee could fly, so he naturally didn't need a plane. However, considering Oliver was seriously injured, he couldn't possibly fly halfway around the world carrying a seriously injured person, so he asked Cyborg to prepare the plane. Batman received the message and returned immediately to the Justice League's Earth headquarters. "Lee, why are you suddenly looking for the League of Assassins? P.S. The timeline of this book differs slightly from the Arrowverse. All interpretations are subject to this book's." Chapter 167, Batman's Excuse. It was Green Arrow. For reasons that are incredibly complicated, Green Arrow challenged Ninja Master to a duel, was stabbed, and then kicked off a cliff. Leah explained simply, not caring if Batman understood or not. Green Arrow killed someone from the League of Assassins? An important one, at that. Batman had been in the League before, and he knew its rules well, so after a moment's thought, he came up with this guess. He was being set upon, involving a family member, a sister, or something. "Bat, you haven't told us where the League of Assassins is," Leah asked again. "I'll take you there. I've defeated Ninja Master before, but this time, if I have the chance, I want to eradicate the League of Assassins." Batman spoke with awe, but Leah looked skeptical. "To eradicate the League of Assassins? Are you sure you're not just looking for an excuse to visit your father-in-law?" Not long after, Fiora brought Felicity and Roy to the Justice League. They didn't even bother to visit the Justice League, their only thought being to get to Nandarbet. That's where the League of Assassins is located. "Roy, how are you feeling lately?" Leah led Felicity and the others to the rooftop. The plane was already ready, and Leah took the opportunity to inquire about Roy's condition. This world's Roy hadn't received the antidote from Mirakuru, it was Leah's fists that kept him awake. "Much better. I'm completely under control now." "Thank you, Mr. Leah." Roy's smile was forced. Back then, when he'd lost control, Leah had beaten him to the point of questioning his own life. Every time he thought about it, he was filled with fear. Felicity noticed a 13 or 14-year-old blonde girl following them. Seeing Kara's adorable appearance, she seemed to forget her sadness and smiled. "Leah, who is this little girl?" "Superman's cousin. You can call her Kara," Leah introduced. Kara looked displeased. She didn't like it when people always introduced her in reference to Superman. Superman is Superman, I'm me, I'm Supergirl, Supergirl. Felicity couldn't help but pinch Kara's cheek. Can you fly, too? Of course. Not only can I fly, I can lift a plane and be invulnerable. I've been practicing my thermal vision lately. It's not very precise, but I'll get the hang of it soon. Amazing. Can you blow cold air? My lung capacity isn't that great yet, so I can't do it yet. Even though Batman can't, I still want to say you're amazing. Of course, Kara beamed with pride. The two girls, one big and one small, chatted happily. Lee, Roy, and were much more reserved. They boarded the plane, with driving, Lee in the co-pilot's seat, and the other sitting in the back. This time, they were in a fighter jet modified with Kryptonian technology, and the trip across half the world took just over an hour. Leo was used to flying, but he didn't know the exact location of the League of Assassins, and since he had to bring Batman, Felicity, and the others with him, it was a rare opportunity for him to take a plane. Up ahead is the snowy peak where the Ninja Master accepted the challenge, Batman said, slowly slowing the plane and pointing to the peak ahead. A platform had been carved out of the peak, with 4 stone pillars erected on top, surrounding a field. Bloodstains could be seen faintly near the edge of the cliff. Yes, Diggle's last location was right here. God! Oliver fell off the cliff, and Diggle hasn't been in contact for days. Felicity looked sad. She desperately wanted to know if Oliver was truly dead, but upon arriving in South Darbit, she didn't dare face the truth. The plane landed on the dueling platform, and Leah flew out, followed by Kara. There's no body below the cliff. There's a house in the forest ahead, and Oliver is there. Leah's clairvoyant eyes took in the entire area for 100 miles. So, is he still alive? Felicity asked instinctively. Leah smiled. Yes, he's still alive. I can see his heartbeat, thank God, Felicity cried with joy, a huge weight lifted from her heart. Afterwards, Roy was left to watch the plane while Leah took Batman and Kara took Felicity, heading towards the cabin in the forest. The cabin wasn't very big, and there were still matches burning inside, as if the owner hadn't been away for long. Opening the wooden door, Felicity rushed in eagerly. She immediately saw a person lying on the bed inside the cabin couldn't help but burst into tears again. Kara, standing beside her, couldn't help but frown, inexplicably upset by Felicity's mood. Batman stepped forward, removed the blanket from Oliver's body, and briefly examined his injuries. HMPH, the wounds have been treated, but it was done roughly. Fortunately, there's no inflammation, otherwise this guy would be dead. He then fished an unlabeled bottle of potion from inside his suit, pried open Oliver's mouth, and poured a little into it. Batman, what did you give him to drink? Felicity could tell at a glance that the potion was a 350 grade product, and she couldn't help but feel a little worried. It'll make him heal faster. Don't worry, I've been injured worse than him, so I'll be fine. Batman tried to use his own experience with more serious injuries to show that he was an expert in treating injuries. At that moment, footsteps were heard outside the door, and a not very sturdy Asian man burst in. He noticed signs of a break-in and drew his sword the moment he entered. Leah, Batman, and Kara locked eyes with the newcomer. Felicity belatedly exclaimed, "Who are you? I should be asking you that. Breaking into someone else's house is rude." Seeing that everyone present, except Leah, looked Chinese, were all American, the Asian man spoke immediately in English. Batman took one look at the newcomer's attire and asked coldly, "Are you from the League of Assassins, and quite high-ranking, at that?" "Yes, my name is Marcel." The man nodded, glanced at Oliver on the bed, and asked, "Are you Oliver's friends?" Felicity found the opportunity and asked, "So, you saved Oliver?" "Yes, Oliver saved my life a few years ago, so, now I don't owe him anything." Marcel looked determined and said to Leah and others, "Since you are here, take him away and never come back." No, Felicity had not forgotten Diggle who came with Oliver. She asked, "Your name is Marcel, right? Do you know where Diggle is?" "He is the big black man who came with Oliver." Marcel put the sword in his hand back into the sheath, and said in a serious tone, The Ninja Master gave him 2 choices, either join the Assassin's League or die. Today is the last day." Batman raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He finally found an excuse to meet him father-in-law. So he coughed lightly and said seriously, let's go save D." D, he didn't care about Diggle's name at all. After saying D for a long time, Batman waved his hand and walked out the door without even bothering to find an excuse. Chapter 168, This is my disciple. However, Marcel stopped Batman. You can't go. The Ninja Master will kill you all of you. Batman shrugged. Don't try to scare me with a Ninja Master. He's just a defeated opponent of mine, after all, his father-in-law, ahem. After all, Batman had defeated the Ninja Master before, so he had nothing to fear now. Besides, Leo was standing behind him. So what if the Ninja Master had lived for 700 years? Could 700 years really defeated the Man of Steel? It wasn't that Batman looked down on him, but he was just letting Leah stand there and let him chop him down. If he could kill Leah, he'd lose. That was Batman's confidence. Marcel was confused. Although he had only been a member of the League of Assassins for a few years, he had never heard of anyone defeating the Ninja Master. Could it be something that happened before he joined? While Marcel was distracted, Batman had already left the cabin. Leah had wanted Kara to stay with Felicity to look after Oliver, but Kara refused. The reason was simple, she knew Batman was going to fight, and naturally wanted to follow along. Lee, I won't go with you. I'll stay here to look after Oliver. You must bring Diggle back, Felicity pleaded. Yes, you know I can do it, Lee gave a reassuring smile. It was just one person from the League of Assassins, it wasn't a big deal. Marcel followed suit. He couldn't stay out there for long, or he'd be discovered by the Ninja Master. The League of Assassins headquarters was perched on a rock face behind the forest, or rather, on a mountain peak. There was an entrance in the rock face, and a network of passages had been carved out, like an anthill buried in the earth. It was incredibly vast. Stop, before Lee and the others could get close, the guards hidden nearby spotted them. Not wanting to say anything more to the small-time assassins, Lee swung his palm through the air, infusing it with a tiny amount of divine power, sending the scattered soldiers in front of him flying. Batman followed behind, strolling in leisurely. With the outermost defense breached, the Assassins' League suddenly erupted like a hornet's nest. Countless warriors, clad in black hoods and masks, swarmed out. Some wielded swords, others drew bows and arrows, aiming at Lee and his group. Who has invaded the Assassins' League? Bruce, a deep voice boomed from within the vast stone hall, and the surrounding Assassins' League warriors quickly made way. Lee and the other two looked forward, only to see an elder, dressed in exquisite black brocade robes and with slightly graying hair and beard, approaching them. He was the Ninja Master, the Demon Chief, Ra's al Ghul, transliterated as Rishku. The Ninja Master walked to the center of the stone hall and waved to his attendants, signaling them to leave. The attendants saluted and then left in an orderly manner. In a moment, the stone hall felt much emptier. Bruce, I never thought you would return one day. The Ninja Master's gaze swept from Lee and Kara to Batman. Batman sneered, I didn't expect you were still alive, you know. I've lived a long time, and I'll continue to live a long time. But, Bruce, since you've come to the League of Assassins today, don't even think about getting out alive, unless you can defeat me again. Master Shinobi flicked his sleeves, stretched out his hands, and slowly drew his sword from his waist. He ignored Lee and Kara and walked over to Batman. Over a decade ago, young Bruce Wayne was traveling the world when he was spotted by a ninja master known as Duca, who brought him back to the League of Assassins. Although Bruce Wayne came from a wealthy family, he possessed a remarkable talent for cultivation. In less than a year, he surpassed except Master Shinobi. The Ninja Master wanted Bruce Wayne to succeed him as the next Ninja Master, Rishaugu. But the final test required Bruce Wayne to kill a guilty person. Everyone as the League of Assassins' motto was to fight violence with violence, to cleanse evil with blood. Unsurprisingly, Bruce Wayne refused to become a killer. Bruce Wayne under house arrest and plotted to force him to submit by destroying Gotham City. Just as the League of Assassins prepared to slaughter Gotham City, the Ninja Master's daughter, Talia al Ghul, rescued Batman at the last moment and, together with him, stopped the Ninja Master's plan to destroy Gotham. A warrior powerful, one who values the unity of spirit, energy, and soul, the Ninja Master, despite his lifelong invincibility, suffered defeat at the hands of Batman, a knot that gnawed at his heart. He sought revenge, and only by defeating Batman could the Ninja Master resolve his anger. However, Batman turned his face away with a haughty expression, saying, "If you don't fight, you'll be defeated." The more the Ninja Master desired revenge, the more the treacherous Batman denied him this opportunity. He hoped this knot would haunt him for the rest of his life, his spirit, energy, and soul unable to unite, his anger simmering in his death. Upon hearing Batman's response, the Ninja Master's expression froze. It would be fine if you didn't fight, but you actually dared to insult his defeated opponent. The Ninja Master's wrath instantly flared. He swung his sword, a cold gleam flashing as he sneered, "Bruce Wayne, it's been so long since we met last. How come you've become such a coward?" Leah couldn't help but interrupt his father-in-law's lecture. Master Ra's al Ghul, Master Ra's al Ghul, you and the Bat can discuss your feud later. Could you please release one of my friends, the Black Mandigo, who came with Oliver Queen? Going straight in and killing Ra's al Ghul wouldn't be a good idea. After all, Batman could fight his father-in-law, but if someone else did, the situation would change. That was Leah's thought, but he was clearly overthinking it. Batman then remembered that there was a hostage in the League of Assassins, and a conflict was inevitable. His gaze drifted to Kara. That's right, our friend D. He muttered for a long time, then got stuck. Too lazy to think, he simply pointed at Kara and said, "This is my disciple, Lazy Ogu. If you can defeat my disciple, I'll give you a chance for revenge. If you can't even beat my disciple, then please release one of our friends." He couldn't even remember his name, so how could he really be your friend? Lazy Ogu's face was filled with anguish. Kara, on the other hand, was excited when her name was called. Especially when Batman called her a disciple, it gave Kara a feeling of "I'm a superhero too." Chapter 169, Lazy Ogu is confused. With this thought in mind, Kara, imitating the Ninja Master, stepped forward, bowed formally, and said, "My name is Kara Zor-El, Batman's apprentice. I can challenge you on his behalf." Leah's mouth twitched. Despite the Ninja Batman Master's frail appearance, he possessed astonishing energy fluctuations. A rough estimate suggested he was at least upper-level Blue Elite, perhaps even at the top. Even would have to exert considerable effort to defeat such an opponent. But who was Batman? Despite his outward appearance, he was a dark figure. He had the audacity to ask Kara to fight in his place, claiming she was his apprentice. Ugh! Shameless. With Kara's current defense, even if she stood there and let Lee slash at her, he would lose if he could injure her. But Leah and Batman knew Kara's abilities, while the Ninja Master didn't. He even considered it an insult that Bruce Wayne had sent his own Bruce Wayne. "Are you so cowardly as to let a little girl die? Fine, I'll grant your wish. I'll kill your apprentice first, and then I'll deal with you." Though the Ninja Master had lived for many years, it was thanks to the Lazarus Pool of the Assassin's League. He himself hadn't transcended the limits of humanity. Lear shook his head and warned Kara, "Be gentle. Don't hide her in the face, understood?" General Avenger, Kara, in a playful mood, saluted Leah with a serious expression. Gazing at the delicate little girl before him, the Ninja Master was momentarily reminded of his own daughter's childhood. His gentle gaze didn't falter for a moment, quickly replaced by a fierce glare. The Ninja Master was renowned for his brutality, slaying anyone who crossed him, whether old or young. "The first time I killed someone, I was only 11, a little younger than you are now." I still remember the light in their eyes fading, the expression on their face, as if in wonder at how life and death could change so swiftly. I felt deeply ashamed because I had taken their life, but I also felt proud because they were evil and wanted to kill me. So I had no choice but to fight back, to stop evil before it even began. This is the very meaning of the Assassin's League. Facing Kara, the Ninja Master slowly approached, recounting his past. Such experiences were an honor for him, but Kara truly considered this person a villain, as Leah had taught her that only villains consider killing a source of honor. The Ninja Master noticed the discontent on Kara's face, clasped his left hand behind his back like a master, and raised his right finger in a provocative gesture towards Kara. "Attack me, child, with all your might." "Yes," Kara responded, tapping her foot softly, and the stone floor hall cracked with a barely audible sound. This was the result of Kara's extreme control of her strength, otherwise, a single step would have collapsed the entire cave. Wow! Before the Ninja Master could react, Kara's figure rapidly enlarged in his field of vision. In an instant, she was in front of him, swinging her delicate little fist at him. What? At that moment, the Ninja Master's heart raced, a sense of impending death washed over him. Fortunately, with his vast combat experience, he instinctively swung his saber sideways, slashing at Kara's neck. Kara knew that even if she were hit, she would be fine. However, Fiora, while guiding Kara in combat, had instructed her to always hone her senses. So, at the moment the Ninja Master's sword struck, Kara didn't use super speed, but leaned back at a normal pace and the Ninja Master's pressure suddenly eased. Without time to consider what the girl had just done, he swung his saber to block and simultaneously launched a kick. Bang! The Ninja Master felt a numbness in his palms, and he stumbled back a few steps, the result of Kara not using her full strength. Kara was sent flying backwards, and a fierce glint flashed in the Ninja Master's eyes. He swung his machete and slashed at Kara. His intention wasn't to kill Kara, but to use Kara's life to force Batman or the black-clad man beside him to take action. But even as the machete was about to fall on Kara, Leah and Batman still looked on in anticipation, leaving Ninja Master Lazy Ogu perplexed. Did he think Lazy Ogu, was truly afraid to kill? Or did he truly not care about this little girl's life? Despite his confusion, the Ninja Master's machete struck down. Kara lacked super speed, so the blow naturally couldn't be avoided. Instinctively, she raised her delicate little hand to block it. Clang! She expected to chop off half the little girl's arm. But to her surprise, the Ninja Master's blade struck Kara's arm like a wall of steel. No, the blade was forged from a special alloy, impenetrable and capable of slicing through anything. Not even steel could withstand the blow. However, the blow left a faint red mark on Kara's delicate palm, and the Ninja Master's blade broke. At that moment, Ninja Master Lazy Ogu's face froze, a look of "Are you kidding me?" Kara, feeling the pain from the blow, angrily threw a punch, then, with a slight pull, brought the blow down hard on Lazy Ogu's waist. Bang! Crack! Before the Ninja Master could recover from the shock, he was hit by Kara's punch, as if he had been hit by a speeding car. The key was that the punch hit his waist. Ah, waist, my waist! The poor Ninja Master smashed the stone pillar behind him and lay flat on the rubble, one hand supporting the ground, the other holding his old waist, unable to get up. Leah narrowed his eyes. Bat, your father-in-law suffered a herniated disc from Kara's punch. Oh no, it's broken. That's good. This way he can live out his retirement in peace. Batman nodded, seemingly satisfied with the result. The surrounding Assassin's League warriors heard the commotion and rushed in from various entrances. Kara subconsciously prepared for battle, but Lazy Ogu, who was still lying on the ground, stretched out his hand and weakly shouted to his warriors, "Hurry, help me get to the Lazarus pool." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170, Lazarus Pool. Supported by his two warrior followers, the Ninja Master, holding his old waist, trudged to the Lazarus Pool. Kara wanted to remind them to release Diggle first, but Leah and Batman shook their heads in unison. Why bother talking about releasing him now? He'd have to wait until the Ninja Master recovered. If he didn't, he'd break his waist. The group twisted and turned until they entered a vast stone hall deep within the Assassin's League. The walls were intricately carved, as if recounting an ancient history. Torches lit everywhere, and patrolling warriors periodically shifted in and out. Against the inner wall was a large circular pool made of stone bricks. At first glance, it resembled a traditional bathhouse in the mountains. However, 2 rows of candles lit the perimeter, giving it a more upscale appearance. Pool of Lazarus, first recorded in the Quran, is said to be a passage to hell, but its waters also possess healing properties, resurrecting the dead and turning bones into flesh. It is precisely because of this pool of water that I have been able to evade death for so long. The Ninja Master soaked in the pool for a while, then slowly stood up. He stretched his waist, and it seemed that his shattered disc had healed. Can Digger be released now? Leah asked maliciously, his eyes fixed on his waist. The Ninja Master looked up at his follower, then waved his hand. The follower bowed deeply and turned to leave. As for the Ninja Master, he continued, I've lived for hundreds of years, but I clearly feel the Lazarus Pool's effectiveness waning on me. Which means, my time may be running out. He suddenly looked at Batman, his voice rising a few octaves. Over a decade ago, when I met you, I chose you to be my successor, the new demon chief, Rishao Gu. But, now, I believe only a true demon can become demon chief, The leader of the League of Assassins, the Ninja Master, then glanced at Kara, who was staring intently at the Lazarus pool. She probably wanted to go up and take a look, but was too embarrassed to. You want Kara to succeed, the Ninja Master? Batman was thrilled. To him, the League of Assassins was a bunch of lunatics. Any Ninja Master's order was a must-do, no matter who it was. Even if it meant cutting off pieces of their own flesh, they would do it without hesitation. He'd been thoroughly brainwashed. Seeing Batman refuse on Kara's behalf, the Ninja Master bristled. He stepped in front of Batman and said, "My time is short, but my legacy will not end with dry bones. The Lazarus pool must be wielded by someone who can resist its temptations. And your disciple, Kara Zor-El, this young girl has the courage to protect this place and uphold the justice of the League." Batman still looked disapproving, but Liu was. He roughly estimated that the League of Assassins had tens of thousands of warriors, with even the lowest rank being the white upper class. The blue elite lower class numbered over 100, with dozens of mid-level warriors and a few at the upper level. With such a force, they could easily capture a city without deploying the military. According to the plot, after the Ninja Master's death, Malcolm Merlyn would take over the League of Assassins. This man was no pushover. To provoke a conflict between Green Arrow and the Ninja Master, he even used drugs to control his daughter and kill White Canary. And most importantly, these warriors were absolutely loyal. "Kara, what's your opinion?" Liu inquired. "Are they all murderers?" Kara expressed some concern, believing the League of Assassins to be evil. "We may be murderers, but those we kill are all guilty." The Ninja Master looked at Kara, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "When I first joined the League, I was accompanied by another man, Damien Dark. We all thought he would be the heir to the devil, but I was chosen by the previous generation of Ninja Masters. I was supposed to kill him, but he escaped, taking his followers and the waters of the Lazarus pool with him. He represents the other extreme of the League. Damien Dark founded an organization, the Hive, with the goal of conquering the world. Unlike the League of Assassins, which prioritizes violence over violence, modern Ninja Masters, as long as they're not mentally ill, rarely venture into the world of ordinary people. But Damien Dark was different. Through an ancient statue, he mastered magic, corrupting his spirit and turning him insane and dangerous." Liu waved his hand, interrupting the nagging Ninja Master. "You've been talking for so long, but what you're really trying to tell us is that if Kara doesn't inherit the League of Assassins, someone more dangerous will target them." "That's exactly what's happening," the Ninja Master nodded. "Batman couldn't possibly inherit the League of Assassins." The Ninja Master didn't know Green Arrow was still alive, and Kara was the most powerful person he'd ever faced, even though she was just a little girl for now. "However, if the League of Assassins obeys Kara's orders 100%, then we might consider it," Liu said, stroking his chin. The Ninja Master looked at Liu suspiciously, a sense of foreboding rising within him. "What I mean is," Bat said, "we're here to destroy the Assassins League, but now that you're willing to make the Assassins League a subsidiary of the Justice League, some rules need to be changed. At least, we should follow the Justice League's rules." "Don't even think about it." The Ninja Master's beard trembled with anger at Liu's words. In the eyes of ordinary people, he was like an ancient emperor. His word was final. How could he become a subsidiary now? Liu's body slowly floated into the air, his eyes suddenly turning crimson. Two parallel beams of blazing light descended from the sky, slamming into the waters of the Lazarus pool. In an instant, the icy waters boiled, churning with heat like a boiling pot of oil. Liu's eyes moved, and the blazing rays spread out horizontally. Since this stone hall was already at the bottom level, wherever the heat beam passed, the ground crumbled and collapsed, blocking the spring. Master Ninja watched this scene unfold, wanting to stop it, but unable to do so. Thanks to Kydian reader Half City Warring Half City Morning for his 20,000 Kydian coins reward. I'll give you 2 more chapters, which will be on September 19th. The Alliance leader has 10 chapters to go, with 1 more to go. The 2 captains and the Hall Master have 4 chapters to go. 100 monthly tickets plus 1 chapter, that's 5 chapters. 9 chapters added, with 10 to go. I've been busy the past 2 days, so let me take a break. Once I'm back on track, I'll update again. Chapter 171. Do you have a spaceship? The blazing glow faded, and Liu closed his eyes, the crimson color fading. Since you say the Lazarus pool is the root of the Assassin's League, does my destruction of it mean the end of the League? The temperature in the stone hall rose dramatically, and the air was filled with a scorching heat. The ninja master stared intently at the block spring, his heart trembling. You destroyed the Lazarus pool. I'll leave one last bit. If you dig up the collapsed ground, the water will rise again, but only if you obey Kara's leadership completely and become an affiliate of the Justice League. Leah hadn't meant to hold back. He had been thinking that if the Assassin's League didn't want to affiliate with the Justice League, it would be better to destroy it now rather than leave it to Malcolm Merlin or Damien Darhk. But Leah realized he couldn't destroy the Lazarus pool. Or rather, he didn't know the consequences of forcibly destroying the Lazarus pool. Just as his thermal vision penetrated the pool water, an energy barrier seemed to have appeared 600 meters below, blocking Leah's thermal vision. This energy barrier was a magical artifact, impenetrable by X-ray vision. Unaware of Leah's intentions, the ninja master half-knelt before Kara. Will gain immense power, but even if I don't inherit the demon's will, my power is still immense, right? Kara waved her delicate little fist. Ninja Master Laziogu's mouth twitched, his expression as if he had eaten a fly. You also have vast resources and an absolutely loyal army. Do you have a spaceship? Kara asked. The ninja master's mouth twitched wildly. What the hell is a spaceship? Is there really such a thing in this world? Batman, perceiving his father-in-law's thoughts, raised two fingers and declared, I funded 2 spaceships for the Justice League, the kind capable of flying into space. Oliver, facing the agitated Diggle, Leah waved him down. Oliver's fine, at least he's not dying. Don't worry about him, thank you, Diggle thanked him earnestly. It was unclear what this upright black man had in mind, and Leah didn't bother explaining. He looked at Batman and asked, what do you say, Bat? Do you want to wipe out a League of Assassins stronghold? Before Batman could reply, the ninja master's face paled. Even though his mortal realm was nearly invincible, he was no match for powerful superpowers, let alone Leah and his group. As the saying goes, in the face of absolute strength, any ingenuity, any resources, is a joke. You can't destroy the League of Assassins. The ninja master placed his hand on the sword at his waist. But he touched nothing, realizing that his blade was broken, having been severed by a little girl's hand. Batman paused for a moment, then asked in a cold voice, where is Talia? Hearing the name, Leah gave Batman a meaningful look. This guy was truly patient. He had come for Talia in the first place, but he only asked now. The ninja master's face changed slightly. He had always had high hopes for his daughter, but Talia had betrayed him, helping an outsider to deal with him. Of course, he now had another burden on his mind, no, to be more precise, 2. As the saying goes, too many lice don't itch, too many debts don't worry. With so many burdens in his heart, the ninja master actually began to find peace. Talia's on a mission in Central Africa. If you want to see her, you can become the leader of the League of Assassins, or let this little girl. Let's go. Batman, upon hearing that Talia wasn't there, lost all interest and turned to walk out. Diggle was stunned, as if he was meeting the ninja master for the first time. Where was the promised brutality? Where was the promised killing without blinking an eye? Leah, those two. Diggle pointed at Batman, who was turning away, then at the ninja master, a look of confusion on his face. Bat is the ninja master's son-in-law. Let's not get involved in this matter. Let him be, Leah explained. Hearing this, Diggle's face was full of I understand, look at Oliver's treatment, then look at Batman's treatment. There's no comparison. The group left the League of Assassins. Leah planned to first figure out the energy barrier under the Lazarus pool, and then deal with the League of Assassins. Back at Marcel's cabin, Oliver was already awake. Felicity had cooked a pot of mushroom soup and was feeding it to Oliver. Oliver, Diggle entered the room, saw Oliver. Still don't worry, I'm fine. Oliver reached out and touched Diggle's arm, then looked at Leah and the others. Leah, I heard Felicity say thank you, and, you should be Gotham City's Dark Knight, Batman. Thank you for the medicine you gave me, Oliver smiled at Batman. Batman paused coolly, don't worry, it's just a small favor. Oliver pushed himself up and sat up in bed. I'm feeling much alive better now. Can you take me back to Star City? I have an important meeting. This surprised Leah. The legendary hands-off boss actually cared about the company. Felicity knew what Leah was thinking and helped to explain. Oliver's company has a problem. Someone wants to acquire Oliver's company right now. If Oliver doesn't show up at the meeting tomorrow, his company will be acquired by that person. Despite Leah's intervention, Deathstroke's men didn't take Oliver's company away. But the irresponsible CEO of the Quinn Group often missed some important meetings of the company, which led to problems in the company's management and a huge loss of money. Simply put, Oliver's company is about to go bankrupt. Batman, who is also a superhero and a young billionaire, smiled slightly. Batman, hiding his achievements and fame. Leah didn't notice his smile, and subconsciously asked, could the one who wants to acquire Quinn Consolidated Enterprise be Ray Palmer? Felicity and Oliver were shocked at the same time. Leah, do you know him? Chapter 172, Message. As expected, Quinn Consolidated was destined inevitably for acquisition by Ray Palmer. Quinn Consolidated faced bankruptcy, partly due to CEO Oliver Queen's complete devotion to his role as Green Arrow. Of course, Quinn Consolidated's own business model was also flawed. Starting with Oliver's father, Quinn Consolidated had been shutting down projects, including the Science Applications Division, that carried higher R&D costs and offered no immediate returns. They had invested heavily in real estate development. The market downturn led to crippling losses, and Ray Palmer, struggling to resolve the technical issues surrounding the Atom suit, decided to acquire Quinn Consolidated, citing the Science Applications Division. Even without his company, Oliver could still enjoy a comfortable life thanks to subsidies from the Justice League. But Quinn Consolidated was his father's life's work, and he would feel guilty about seeing it crumble under his watch. Perhaps. Thanks to Batman's potion, Oliver's injuries healed quickly, and he was able to get out of bed and walk. Batman then remotely controlled the plane they had come in by, and they all returned to Star City. The League of Assassins. The blocked Lazarus Pool. The Ninja Master ordered a group of warriors to dig open the spring. In the empty stone hall, a dozen people gathered around the collapsed spring. Suddenly, the crisp sound of a lighter flipping open was heard. He turned to the man who had suddenly appeared in the stone hall and demanded, "Who let you in?" Talking about, Constantine looked at the Lazarus Pool for a while, then suddenly stepped forward and pulled a warrior away. The warrior glared at Constantine and wanted to attack, but the Ninja Master shook his head, and the man quietly stepped aside. At this time, the spring was dug up, and the pool water gradually overflowed, and the pool water became more turbid. Constantine stretched out his hand, scooped up some pool water in his palm, and poured it directly into his mouth. It's not that no one has tried to drink the water of the Lazarus Pool, and those who drank the pool water went crazy. But Constantine did not drink it in one gulp, but held it in his mouth, pinched his hands in a strange seal, rolled his eyes up, revealing the whites of his eyes, and made an indistinct sound with his nasal voice. An amp, percent, curse. The Ninja Master didn't seem surprised by Constantine's ramblings. He patiently watched for a long moment, until Constantine's body trembled violently, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. He collapsed. "Are you dead?" the Ninja Master asked indifferently. Constantine supported himself on the ground with one hand, gasping for breath. As if exhausting all his strength, he finally uttered 4 words, "Darkness is coming." Lee and Kara returned to the Justice League. So many missions lately, Diana and the others were away from headquarters, and even Deadshot and his crew were traveling the world. Lee wandered around and went to the lab to see if Cisco and the others had made any progress. Something about Batman's dream, a distress signal from another universe, was from a parallel universe similar to Injustice. But there were many versions of the Injustice universe. Some had Superman reigning supreme, while others had Batman overthrowing Superman's regime. Cisco stopped arguing with Cyborg and shrugged. "We've been tracking that signal and sending out a message. But it's been days and we haven't received a response, so Cisco wants to expand the signal channel and further connect with that world." Cyborg walked towards the device in front of Caitlin and continued, "But I think we can't reveal too much when we know nothing about that world." Cisco spread his hands and retorted, "Please, this is an opportunity to contact another universe. If we can establish contact, it will prove the theory of multidimensional space, which is a milestone for human scientific development. In this world, scientists now know of the existence of aliens, so they have set their sights on higher levels. They want to explore the mysteries of the universe. Cisco believes that if he can be the first to reach this level, it will be an incomparable honor." Leo stepped forward to review their research findings, the complex data on the main control unit. "Perhaps we should compromise. Send one last message. If we don't get a response, we'll give up." Cyborg agreed, but Cisco shrugged disapprovingly. "Why not move the equipment to Cutting Edge Lab and send a signal?" Sending Barry sprinting. "Maybe we can open a time tunnel," What you say is entirely feasible, but, at Barry's current speed, he can't break the barrier of time and space. Leah bluntly poured cold water on him. Cisco sighed. Okay, one last message. I'm hoping to make contact with people from other universes. Maybe I'll win a Nobel Prize or something. Of course, Cisco was joking. After the multiverse theory was truly confirmed, especially when it involved various dangerous matters, they wouldn't easily inform the public. This was true in every universe. As Cisco tapped on the keyboard, a friendly message was sent from this universe. Everyone stared at the screen, silent. The message just sent seemed to have fallen on deaf ears, with no response. So, we didn't send it successfully, or, is there no such thing as a faraway universe? Cisco sighed, his shoulders slumping. Caitlin patted Cisco's arm comfortingly. Pack up and prepare to return to the advanced technology tomorrow. Meanwhile, on Earth Laboratory 10086, in one of the many Batcave structures, Brothers I, Bruce Wayne, in his batsuit, staring blankly at the screen. He watched as Superman summoned the world's news media and issued a statement, I hereby call upon the world to cease all wars and hostilities immediately, or I will personally punish them. Batman, facing the screen, looked dejected and sighed, Clark, you've finally come to this. With a wave of his hand, the Brothers Eye screen switched to surveillance footage of various cities. Just then, a message from an unknown source came through. Batman, slightly puzzled, opened the message, his eyes widening in disbelief. Chapter 173, Little Boy. On Earth 95, Lee's parallel universe, in the slums of Metropolis, Billy Batson, a mere 14 years old, awoke from his sleep. He surveyed his messy home and felt a wave of anxiety. Unlike other boys his age, Billy Batson's parents had disappeared since childhood. A kind-hearted family had sent him to an orphanage, but tragically, it closed down shortly after his arrival themselves disappeared, leaving him with only a modest house that would fetch little if sold. Fortunately, the Justice League donated $200 million to the slums, allowing orphans like him to survive on a meager monthly stipend. After getting up and washing up quickly, Billy Batson searched the refrigerator for food. Besides a bottle of milk 2 weeks past its expiration date, he found only dog food he'd bought on sale a month earlier. Well, don't underestimate it, it's far more nutritious than regular canned food. Alright. Today's the day to collect my allowance. Once I get it, I can pay the rest of my tuition and have a good meal. Never mind, let's just have a simple meal. Billy Batson carefully picked out a t-shirt with a single hole in it from his closet. He dressed carefully and headed to the welfare center to collect his allowance for the month. As he passed through an alley, Billy Batson saw a few thugs demanding protection money from an elderly African American. Hey, you can't pick on an old man. Despite his small stature, Billy Batson stood up to the bullies without hesitation. The leading white youth glanced behind him and saw a 14-year-old boy, who immediately smiled. Don't think you're a superhero just because this is Metropolis. Even if Superman comes, what can he do? We're protecting this old man. Is asking him for protection money too much? Several thugs shoved Billy Batson into a corner. The leading white youth even kicked him in the stomach, knocking him down. Now, apologize to me, little brat, and get out of here. I'll let you go. The elderly African-American man couldn't bear to see the young Billy Batson being bullied. He also said, Kid, go away. Leave me alone. They'll beat you up, slapped Billy Batson again, knocking him to the ground. Then he reached into Billy's pocket and pulled out a banknote. Tisk, poor bastard, that's just a few bucks. Remember this, next time, carry more money with you. Don't you like to do good deeds? Then you'll pay this old man's protection fee. Do you understand? No, this is my bus fare. I'm going to pick it up today. At this, Billy Batson gritted his teeth, tears glistening in his eyes, as he watched the thugs leave laughingly. The elderly African-American man walked up to Billy Batson and helped him up. Kid, are you okay? Billy Batson shook his head. I'm fine, but I don't have any money to go to the welfare center. Ugh, I'm going to go hungry again. The old man grinned, revealing his teeth, which were so white that they looked unbelievable. He pulled a coin from his pocket and said, This is a subway coin. You can use it to take the subway. Taking the coin from the old man's hand, Billy Batson's gloom suddenly disappeared and he immediately became happy. He extended his hand. Thank you. My name is Billy Batson. What's your name? The old man extended his hand and shook his. You can call me Tiger Subway Station. Earth 10086, Injustice Universe. Batman carefully studied the file that had suddenly appeared. He checked its source and found it didn't originate from anywhere on Earth and had suffered significant damage during transmission. Batman examined this suspicious file over and over again, ultimately concluding that it contained no viruses or malicious programs. It appeared to be a severely damaged audio file. Batman suppressed his shock and operated the Brother's Eye supercomputer, attempting to repair the audio file. After a moment, the repair was 70% complete, which was already the limit. Audio file. Where did this audio file come from? He clicked the play button, holding his breath as he listened to the contents. A cacophony of noises erupted from the player, followed by a voice, "Hello, hello. I'm Cisco Ray. File missing, file missing. Justice League calling the otherworld, calling, missing, soon." A second voice echoed, seemingly right beside the first. "Enough, Cisco, could you please speak properly? I don't think this, missing, can reach the otherworld, missing." Batman listened to these few words over and over again for nearly 30 minutes before turning the player off. Cisco Raymond, or rather, Shockwave, isn't he dead? And Cyborg Victor Stone, how could he? Batman rubbed his cheeks. Ever since the Joker had Superman inhale the fear gas, and Superman mistakenly killed the pregnant Lois Lane for Doomsday, Superman had begun a killing spree, intending to use it to create a world without strife. All evil, all extinction. Some sided with Superman, like Cyborg and Wonder Woman. Others, like Batman, Green Arrow, and Martian Manhunter, opposed this view. To his surprise, Superman, faced with the doubts of his former friend, ruthlessly killed him, weeping as he did so. "You died for a new world, my friend," these were Superman's words as he killed Green Arrow. Batman's mind was preoccupied with the audio's mention of another world. Was this a message from another world? Otherwise, how could Cisco and Cyborg, two people so completely unrelated, be together? Furthermore, Cisco was still alive, and Cyborg didn't look like the Cyborg from Superman's side. After a long moment of deliberation, pulled out a lightning-shaped button from his pocket and pressed it. 3 minutes later, a flash of lightning appeared in the Batcave. P.S. Does anyone know who the little boy above is? Chapter 174, Empty Train. Bruce, I know what you're going to say. I've actually time-traveled many times, lightning flashed, and Barry Allen took off his suit hood. He didn't look very old, but his face was visibly weathered. Time travel, Batman was stunned. While the thought had crossed his mind, wait, was Barry implying that he'd already time-traveled in an attempt to change the world, but had failed? Seeing Batman's wonderful expression, Barry explained, Bruce, every time at this point in time, you tell me that Lois Lane is the key, and you let me travel back in time to save Lois Lane. But I failed. I tried several times. All failed. No matter how many times I saved Lois Lane, the Joker always found a way to kill her and her child with Superman, and every change will make things worse. At the beginning, Superman just threw the entire Atlantis into the desert. The first time I traveled back in time, he killed Aquaman. The second time, Green Arrow and Martian Manhunter died. Maybe next time it will be you, Bruce, I think, unless you let me go back to the beginning and let me kill the Joker. Otherwise, the Flash. Barry Allen said a lot in one breath. Batman stood up and put his hands on the Flash's shoulders. Barry, calm down. You don't have to kill anyone. Barry shook his head, his face pale. You don't understand. I've messed up the timeline, and it's getting worse and worse. I really can't travel back in time. I'm not asking you to travel back in time, Barry. Listen to this. Batman didn't bother to say more, and simply clicked on the audio file that suddenly appeared in Brother's Eye. The player played Cisco and Cyborg's voices again. Although intermittent, Barry could still hear them clearly. He wiped his face with trembling hands, took a deep breath, and his eyes moistened. Cisco. Cisco is still alive? How is that possible? I clearly saw him die. When was this recording made, Barry? This is not a recording. I think it's a message from another world, Batman explained. But how is that possible? Barry's eyes widened, his face filled with disbelief. Batman explained with a stone face, this supercomputer draws on some Kryptonian technology. I've synchronized my mind with the Brother's Eye, allowing me to better control it. But I keep hearing other voices. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. So, this is a message from another world? Barry asked. Batman nodded and said, yes, and it's different from Earth 2 and Earth 3. the numbers relative to his own universe. That world also has the Justice League and Superman, the Flash of this universe, while fighting the Reverse Flash, accidentally opened a wormhole in time and space. These wormholes connected to the next universe, and the next universe after that. Those two universes had superpowers and speedsters, but not Superman. It wasn't that the Flash hadn't considered seeking help from other universes, but the vastness of the universe beyond was simply too vast, and most of it was relatively peaceful. In other words, he hadn't found a sufficiently powerful ally in the universes he knew. Seeing the Flash speechless for a long moment, Batman spoke up. "Barry, Superman has gone mad. We have no way to stop him. You'll have to find allies in another universe. If possible, bring me a ton of kryptonite, travel to another universe." Barry clenched his hands nervously, recalling his own experience breaking through the barriers of time and space. "Bruce, you know there are so many parallel universes. It's hard for me to pinpoint the universe the message came from." "That's easy. Brother's Eye is analyzing the source of the audio message. Now that they know it's from another world, all they need to do is record a space-time ripple signal and transmit it to your suit via a transmitter. All that's left is for you to run." Barry pondered Batman's suggestion for a long time. If we travel to a parallel universe, the Watchtower might detect unusual spatial data. Like many other universes, the Justice League maintains a spaceship called the Watchtower, which monitors Earth 24/7. If the Flash traveled to another universe at this time, it would likely attract the Watchtower's attention. You have to remember that Barry the Flash is nominally part of Superman's side. If you were to stray into another universe at this point, whether to acquire kryptonite or recruit other helpers, the situation would be uncertain. His fate would likely be the same as the already deceased Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Martian Manhunter. Seeing Barry's hesitation, Batman placed a hand on his shoulder and said gravely, "Barry, this is your last resort. Superman has changed. Perhaps, as you say, the next to die could be me, Bruce." Barry looked at Batman, feeling an inexplicable sadness. Could he really watch his friends die one after another? Green Arrow, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and Shockwave, Cisco Ramon. Barry sighed heavily, and then, in a flash of lightning, he disappeared into the Batcave, Earth 95. Metropolis, Leo Street subway station. A stream of people descended the steps, pouring into the station. A young boy, Billy Batson, stood alone at the station entrance, staring at the coin in his hand. "Is this a subway coin?" Billy Batson frowned, muttering to himself. The coin was thick and gold, with a portrait of an old man on the front and a capital S on the back. It looked more like an amusement park coin than a subway coin. "That old black man lied to me." Billy Batson scratched his head, but he felt that the other party did not want to lie to him, so he made up his mind and strode towards the subway station. Putting the silver coin in his hand into the coin slot, Billy walked into the empty subway hall. He suddenly found that he was the only one in the entire subway hall. Everything around him was terrifyingly quiet. If the lights were not still on, Billy would definitely turn around and run. When he walked onto the platform, a train roared into the station in front. The little boy Billy looked up, and his heart trembled. He found that all the train cars were empty. Chapter 175, Grandmaster? How could a subway train be empty at this hour? Billy Batson thought it was ridiculous, but remembering he still had to go to the welfare center to collect his monthly allowance, he had no choice but to board the train. This is Metropolis, nothing should go wrong. Hey, even if something does, Superman, the Avengers, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, they'll definitely come to save me. Billy looked around and sat in the seat closest to the door. The train doors closed and slowly accelerating. If something does go wrong and Superman comes to save me, can I ask for his autograph? I'm a huge Justice League fan, they'll definitely give me one. With this thought, Billy, in his carefree way, leaned against the window and looked out. As the train started moving, the advertising screens on the subway track wall rapidly receded. One moment, Billy was watching with rapt attention, but the next, the scene suddenly changed. The train seemed to have arrived in a cave, filled with upside-down stalactites. Oh my God, a train going through a cave. Even Billy, a heartless child, realized something was amiss. Metropolitan subways only run within cities, so how could they suddenly be inside a cave? The train continued to roar forward, and Billy jumped from his seat. He pounded on the door with his fists, trying to open it. But it was all in vain. About half an hour later, The train slowed down, stopped, and with a ding, the door opened. Is this our stop? Billy poked his head out and peered outside. The surroundings remained cave-like, but near the train, there were dirt steps that resembled the platform. Billy jumped off the train and bravely walked along the platform. Soon, he saw 7 hideous stone statues on the wall to his right. Beneath each statue was a name. Pride. Envy. Greed. Hatred. What is this? Billy continued walking inside, amazed by the 7 stone statues within the mysterious cave. Atop it sat an elderly man with a Mediterranean hairstyle and a white beard. The moment Billy approached, the old man opened his eyes and spoke. Billy Batson, you're younger than I expected. Wow, a living person. Oh my god, are you Gandalf, the great wizard from the Lord of the Rings? Billy's first reaction upon seeing the old man on the stone pedestal was that he was a wizard of Gandalf's caliber. A laugh escaped the old man's lips. Ha ha ha, I'm not Gandalf, I'm Shazam. As soon as the word Shazam was uttered, a ball of lightning suddenly erupted in midair, startling Billy to the ground. Omega, you can cast lightning spells? Are you really a great wizard? Billy marveled. The old man's face froze, and he suddenly didn't know how to respond. He coughed lightly. Well, the thing is, for thousands of years, I've used the power of magic to defeat the evils of the world. It's an endless struggle. Oh my god, old man, you've lived 1,000 years, Billy interrupted, staring at the old man with gleaming eyes. Yes, I have lived 1,000 years, kid, listen to me, I really want to know what happened 1,000 years ago. Can I learn magic from you? I've seen a comic similar to this before, where a doctor gets in a car accident and the nerves in his hand are severed. He then seeks out a supreme sorcerer, who takes him in as his disciple and becomes the next supreme sorcerer. Billy chattered excitedly, and the old man on the stone pedestal's face darkened. He suddenly snapped his fingers, and Billy, who had been chattering non-stop a moment ago, was speechless the next. Well, that's right. Children must learn to listen. The old man stretched himself and continued, as you can see, I'm old, and it won't be long before I'm gone from this world. And you, little Billy, your parents disappeared when you were young, the orphanage closed, your adoptive parents disappeared. Your life has been miserable, but you've never been cynical about life's misfortunes. On the contrary, you love life more than anyone else, so, I hope you can inherit the power of Shazam. The world has changed recently, and I can sense a new wave of darkness about to sweep over. I hope you can use my power to do something. Now, you can say the magic word, my name. The old man finished his explanation in one breath, his eyes fixed on Billy, expecting him to utter the word Shazam. But Billy's eyes were filled with aggrievedness. He whimpered and pointed at his mouth, as if complaining, you've used the silent skill, so how can I speak? Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. The old man snapped his fingers again. Amazing. Did you just silence me? So, are you really the Grandmaster? Oh my god, a Grandmaster who has lived for 1,000 years, can you accept me as your apprentice? Billy, tell me my name, are you Gandalf? Or the Ancient One, the Supreme Sorcerer? The old man slapped his forehead, wanting to die. Little Billy ran up to him and asked expectantly, Grandmaster, what is this dark wave you just mentioned? If you accept me as your apprentice, can I become a superhero? What code name should I take? Superheroes all have codes. The old man rubbed his temples hard. This naughty kid is too noisy. He stretched out his hand and swung it violently. Billy screamed whoa, and flew out of the cave. The world spun around as if he was falling into a bottomless abyss. Am I going to die? The Grandmaster won't accept me as Billy screamed, waving his arms to maintain his balance, but he suddenly realized he was still standing at the entrance of the subway station. A huge crowd of people rushed in. Because of his loud shouting, around him looked at him with strange eyes. How embarrassing. At the same time, in another ancient cave, the seal on a sarcophagus suddenly shattered, and magical power spread out. At the same time, a decayed, mummy-like body within the sarcophagus suddenly opened its eyes. He rolled his dry eyeballs, opened his dry mouth, and said in a very hoarse voice, the seal is finally lifted. Hey, finally, the withered body trembled restlessly, as if using all its strength, and shouted a single word, Shazam, crash. Thunder suddenly exploded in the sky, falling on the withered body. The next second, the withered body suddenly transformed into a middle-aged man in a black battlesuit. A lightning bolt pattern adorned his sturdy chest. There's another chapter tonight. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.